Productions.
No way, Jose.
The following footage proves beyond any doubt that the tanks intentionally set the house on fire. It proves that the Branch Davidians were murdered. You can see that this tank has a gas jet on the front that shoots fire. You can also see the fire quite plainly. The tank goes into the house twice, and each time as it backs out, the fire at the gas jet is plainly visible.
We must all do more to recognize and look for the early warning signals that deeply troubled young people send.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the Morning Dump. I am today's host, Jose Galison. What it do, people? Let me know if I'm sounding good, looking good, all that stuff in the chat. Everything looked good on my end, but I did have a little mic spill yesterday, so just wanted to be sure it is being screwy since then. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning, April 9th. It is really nice out. I got a nice workout in already. I'm ready to hang out with y'all. Running a little late. I did kind of have some bad family news, but I mean, it's nothing too bad. I think everything will work out. So that's what kind of got a delay. I had to call the mom and see what was going on type deal. But yeah, man, big stuff going on. PG saying sounding good. Look, sounding good. Hell yeah. Thank you. You didn't say looking good. That's hurtful. We see Sloppy Toppy asking where's Dad at? We got Bear again. Yes, Bear is here again today. Now, you actually might get a double treat. There is an outside chance that you guys might get a rare double dumper today. Austin hit me up this morning, or I don't know if it was middle night. Us being on this time zone difference does kind of mess with things sometimes. So I don't even know really when he sent it or what time it was him, but I woke up to a text being basically oh, I can't do it, something to do with family, blah, blah, blah. Something about bringing him to, I don't know, basically doing one last thing, taking him to the airport before they go, something or other like that. And he was like, yeah, but I really have a lot of stuff I really want to go into, so we can start late. And then but he's like, but if you can't start late, you can just roll, and then I can also maybe do one later. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying he will for sure doing that, but I'm letting you guys know there may be the rare double dump today. I just decided to go ahead and start without him. Who knows? Maybe he'll join us, at some point during this. I haven't had a chance to touch base with him to see when he would be in if we did start late. I mean, it did start a little bit late, so I don't know if that's late enough for him to be able to get in here. We'll see. I mean, there's an outside chance he gets in here, and there's also a chance you guys get a second dump. But with that, I do want to, I guess that's a good time to remind people out there that you guys need to follow both of our platforms. The reason being is, yes, most of these stuff, right now, this is going out to both of our YouTubes, both of our Twitters, but due to the nature of how our streaming platform works, StreamYard, we're not able to send it out to literally everything. I don't have access to all of his stuff, so I can't send it out to his Rumble or his RSS feed. So if you're one of those Rumble RSS people out there that, that's all you use and you listen to this show, then make sure to go follow the Underclass podcast on those platforms as well. That way, on say days like today when you might get a double dump, you're still getting notifications for it. So because I won't be there later today for if he does one. So make sure you're following. You should be following us on all our platforms anyways. We're on basically everywhere, all the audio platforms, Rumble, YouTube. I guess we're not on a lot of the video platforms, but Rumble, YouTube, the two main ones. So yeah, we're good there. See everybody in the chat. See JMS saying hit that like button, saying good morning. Hey say what now? Saying good morning, everybody. Helper Crow in here. And I know you're playing Sloppy Toppy and saying he loves your work, but I know you guys. A lot of people love Austin. We have been trying to train you guys though, so you guys can kind of learn. Like for one, by certain days, we kind of obviously fumbled the ball here. In that essentially he takes Monday, Tuesdays, I take Wednesday through Friday. But we also, if you notice, we have our own intros. Me and him have separate intros. So I think the move will be like maybe going forward that like whoever's hosting the show, we play their intro. That way you guys can kind of tell. But yeah, I see a bunch of you guys are regulars in here. Shy Yuon, Lance Ripa, PG, JMS, King David, Qbert. What's up, everybody? Good to see you all in here. Ooh, Jay Cortez. Full-blown trade wars with Europe and China. Yes, for sure. I don't have a lot on that yet because, for one, I'm not like a super-duper economic guy. Like, I'm not like economically retarded. But I'm fairly decent. So, I mean, I don't know. I haven't found any good content to cover for that yet, though. So I don't have much to say about that. I mean, I've seen people all over the place. There was stuff yesterday. I was even seeing people gloating about, like, look at this. Some economic indicator, like, oh, everyone's talking shit about the Trump thing, and look how great we're doing. And then by the afternoon, everyone's like, oh my fucking God. So I don't fucking know. I have no idea what's going on. By the way, sorry if you hear that meowing in the back. One of these lovely ladies clearly just went into heat, so not much I can do about that. Oh, I'm looking at her right now. I might just throw a shoe at her in a second. Maybe get her to shut the fuck up. But all right, cool. Marty McFly says, I'm way funnier. I'm here for the humor. Yeah, well, that's the thing. That I know there are some salty people out there that get mad when, like, Austin's not here or just even that I'm with Austin. But I think the dynamic of the two of us combined helps. But I'm very close to throwing a shoe at this motherfucker. One sec. Let me mute this so it's not super inappropriate. Yeah, I had to throw a shoe at it and yell at it real quick. There we go. All right, cool. So there we go. Let's get into... all right, real quick, before we get into actually some content, real quick, I do want to let you guys know, if you guys see that the tippy top here, I guess I'm kind of jumping all over the place. I'm a little discombobulated at the moment because I was dealing with that kitty cat that's staring me right in the face and just keeps meowing at me like, I want to be bred. But we're, you guys see in the title there, Shmandy Shmook. We're doing a little censorship test today. We are going to be covering that which should not be covered. We're literally going to do a thread on essentially how this is actually my buddy, Jolly on Klebold or Tim Tuttle. That's his thread that we'll be covering. So it's his take on what he thinks actually happened. And I'm kind of like, somewhat close. I don't have a strong opinion on it. So, but I'm pretty much in the realm of him because obviously everyone thinks, when you talk about that topic, it goes to, oh, you think nothing happened. It was all crisis actors, this, that, this. No, we're going to get into that today. So that'll be fun. See Sloppy Toppy, Jose special move, the chancla toss. Dude, it fucking works. I'll tell you, dude. You hear one of them doing something, you just fucking, just kind of lob it at them, just boop. Just, if you just tap them, just hey, now it's a mute button. That's all that is. All right. But before we get into some actual content, I do want to take a moment to pay some bills, to remind you guys about our wonderful sponsor over here, NWJ Shave Co. If you're tired of that razor burn, those irritation, those ingrown hairs that you're going to get from those multi-blade cartridges, this is the way to go. Now, this is a single blade safety razor. Look at this sucker. This thing's beautiful. Now, this thing is just in all regards superior to your typical standard razor, what people use, those multi-blades. Now, this thing right here, it's only one razor, but that's one blade dragging across your face. It does, actually it does a better job shaving than the multiple blades, and it is one blade dragging across your face, minimizing the damage done to your face. So it is a cleaner shave. It does less damage to your face. What's better for your skin, cleaner shave. It is cheaper. The first year puts you out about $75. That comes with the razor pictured here, along with the blades. After that, you're just buying blades. So, I mean, even in the first year, though, you're making your money back. And on top of that, you can use Jose at checkout for 10% off and make that even cheaper. And then on top of all of this, a COVID mandate refusing company. This is a company that falls in lines with the values of you guys, most likely, assuming since you're watching this show. But otherwise, I guess you're hate watching it. But with that, though, I mean, go check it out. NWJ Shave Co. Use Jose at checkout. It is a great product, definitely better to the alternative, the standard razors in all regards. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So get on that. Let's roll through the chat real quick, and then we'll get into some content. I see King David here saying, "Yes, I hate how we can't talk about Shmandy Shmook. How clearly, obviously, something didn't add up." Yeah, I think it was like a few weeks ago we on the show covered something about it. Not a lot though, but so it's like that's why I say it's a censorship test. It's like I'm like slightly doing more and more every time. Like I wasn't quite brave enough to put the actual title, like the name of it in the title, or to put like hashtags in the video description or any of that stuff to like draw attention to it, but we're getting there. I'm full on doing the topic today. So, I mean, aside from drawing it to further attention to, there's not much more I can do. It's just, I say censorship test, though, because we're in a weird time in YouTube where it's like, it just feels like they're letting us get away with a lot right now, and I'm a little bit overly concerned, and I really feel like we're going to get a rug pull soon, and probably on the J stuff, to be frank. That'll probably be the move. I don't think they're quite ready yet. Yeah, someone says shave your cat for a demo. Well, I have hairless cats, so actually I do have Jeff. Jeff has hair, so I guess I could shave Jeff. We did shave him once as a good laugh. He was not happy about it. But all right, let's get into some content. Let's roll through the usual morning rigmarole of what's going on awful in foreign policy. So let's start off with where we're at with the Iran stuff. We say Netanyahu saying Iran deal would work only if nuclear facilities are blown up. Now, obviously, I'm not really too overly concerned about what Netanyahu says, since he doesn't control the nation. Actually, I guess he kind of does. That's kind of the issue here. But yeah, he did say that recently, that he's implying that the only way, his opinion, the only way that if we were to come to a deal with Iran, the only way this would work was if we blew up or blown up in quotes the nuclear facilities of civilian. Obviously he's probably being a little bit hyperbolic, not literally meaning blowing up, but either way, the idea being is that they would no longer exist. So they have to give up their civilian nuclear facilities. So they would essentially have to force them to no longer use any sort of nuclear material in a non-weapon fashion. Like they can't use it, period. So, which, I don't know enough about the ins and outs of how useful nuclear stuff is, but either way, it's just the idea of it's just kind of a ridiculous ask on another nation anyways. When this is, from my understanding, pretty standard that most nations have this. The only reason, from my understanding, that we really give them shit is because, I guess maybe because they're in the position of not being an ally, and so it's like, we've there's someone on the outs that, has civilian nuclear programs, so I mean, why they get honed in on, aside from the fact that they're, Iran, I really don't know. Here we go, right here we see Netanyahu saying, we agree that Iran will not have nuclear weapons. This can be done by agreement, but only if this agreement is Libyan style. They go in, blow up the installations, dismantle all of the equipment under American supervision, and carry it out by America. This would be good, Netanyahu said in a video statement a day after meeting with Trump. Now, this has been, a lot of people have been talking about this little statement right here. I assume most of my audience, you guys have a good trained ear here, and you caught the little, what the fuck here? He mentioned Libyan style. They go in, blow up the installations, dismantle all the equipment under American supervision, and carry it out by America. This would be good. What he's referring to is the Muammar Gaddafi situation, where we essentially forced Libya to denuclearize in a civilian sense as well, like in every sense of the word. And next thing you know, boom, bang, boom, we fucking stab him in the butt a bunch of times, and now he's dead. So, yeah, not really a great thing to reference when you're trying to pull someone to the table for a deal. But let's be real, we all know where Netanyahu sits on here. So let's be real. These statements were probably more intended to aggravate Iran and to make it clear to them that they're, whether it's true or not. I'm not sure how the U.S. will fall here, but they're definitely trying to signal to Israel is that, hey, you guys aren't getting good deals here. You're going to get fucked. Essentially starting them off with a point of like, hey, like there's almost no point in any of these deals, like in working with us, any sort of, Because like these are all non-starters. Like the idea that they're going to get rid of their nuclear facilities, it's a complete non-starter. They said that as well. They've said that multiple times. You know, our intelligence community has said over and over again, these guys don't have nukes, nor are they working towards nukes. So yeah, and then here we are, Netanyahu invoking Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, who like that's essentially what happened. He dismantled his nuclear weapons program. And then after that, you know, shortly after he died. I mean, I guess it's a different situation because Iran doesn't even have a nuclear weapons. I guess in this situation you see here, I didn't remember if it was only civilian or to the weapons process, or if they were like starting where they were in the process here. But he agreed to dismantle. I think maybe the fact that like I guess that they have. I mean, once again, I don't know enough about nuclear material, but I would assume that if you have civilian material stuff, that it kind of gives you a leg up against other countries who don't. So essentially that like if you ever were to go full on weaponized nuclear, that would probably give you an easier like jump to there. So I would assume, referring to the Libyan thing, it would do this. I would say it would probably do a similar thing to Iran if they did denuclearize to this extent, even though they aren't weaponized. I would assume because the idea is that there is, while in a certain sense, every year we get Netanyahu going, oh, Iran's, a week away from a nuclear bomb. And it's like, they're not. But in a certain sense, that threat kind of keeps them safe. While they're not really the ones making them that threat, it's a hard line to walk. So, but yes, referencing that. So I want to bring this story up because I just think it implies what we're likely to see if we see some sort of Iranian deal, which I guess Trump has said this in the past too, that when he blew up the deal with Obama, that was his thing. It's like, oh, we just want a better deal. So I think he may really stick to that, and the idea of that, like, no, and I think it'll probably be other things as well along the lines of like specific things about, I wouldn't be a little bit surprised if they make requests about no longer supporting other people in the area, which a lot of that stuff is, some of it's true. Some of it's also just normal allies. Some of it is just, ghosts that essentially the U.S. is fighting because essentially they're not real. Essentially the claims of the Houthis, that was one of the things we covered in this show a while back where they were saying, Iran, they were threatening Iran because saying that they were supporting the Houthis. And it's like the Houthis produce all their own weaponry. And so, I mean, this has been rumors have gone around. Iran is behind everything. There's like, IED, ooh, look at this wire. Clearly came from somewhere in Iran, maybe somehow. And they're like, okay, well, I know it's a jump. But they like to make these jumps with Iran. So either way, I don't know. I'm hoping. I mean, they have talked about making deals. I'm hoping a deal can be made. Obviously, Netanyahu is a belligerent, actor here. Luckily, he's not even involved in the negotiations. He's just clearly working from the outside to try to upset it. But it is a little bit concerning that this could very likely be where Trump's head's at is at as well. So I guess if there might be a little bit of an indication. So. Let's roll through the chat. So yeah, here we go. Shahyan fucking stupid Libya dismantled its nuclear weapons program back in 2003. Yup. Someone says, I guess I'm out. The whole chat blocked me? What? People in the chat blocking you? I don't know why anyone would be blocking you. Okay, well, don't leave. You can still talk to me. Lindsey Graham's here saying Iran was behind the assassination attempt on our dear leader. Yeah, for sure, right? Of course they were, which, I mean, once again, that's a perfect example of how it's like they're behind every blade of grass. So, yeah, it is ridiculous. So, all right, let's move on to the next story. We have Israeli troops blow whistle on war crimes in Gaza kill zone. We have one ID officer said that not only are Israeli troops killing military-age males, we're killing their wives, their children, their cats, their dogs. We're destroying their houses and pissing on their graves. So yeah, that kind of sums it up for you. So I guess it says an Israeli human rights group on Monday published a report in which Israeli Defense Forces officers and soldiers who took part in the creation of a buffer zone along Gaza's border with Israel described alleged war crimes, including indiscriminate killing as well as the wholesale deliberate destruction of civilian infrastructure in what multiple whistleblowers call a kill zone. Man, this reminded me, I kind of wish now, let me see, actually I'll take a second real quick, see if I can't find it. the people recalling the Nakba, because this reminds me of these stories is like these stories we see now where we see these people recalling the Nakba. Actually, I'm not even going to bother trying to find it. That'll be too hard to find now. But there was a thing that went around on social media a bunch a while back where it was, you probably could find it. I don't know, Nakba, IDF soldiers recounting, and a lot of them are like laughing, and it's kind of wild. They've just shown this supercut of all of them recounting the Nakba, which is I forget if it was 1947, 1948, where they essentially kicked out all the Palestinians out of Israel to take over their land. You have the forces there who at that time they were part of what essentially were terrorist groups. There were militias, I guess, depending on your how you want to. I mean, some of them were just straight up terrorist groups. Some of them were debatably militias of the groups, because it wasn't actually Israel at that time. This is the founding of Israel we're talking about here. But these people in the late 40s, I mean, a lot of them still. I mean, what is that? 80 years ago? I mean, there's people still alive from that. I mean, I doubt any of these soldiers are still alive. Maybe some of them, because I would put around like somewhere in like late 90s, early 100s. So maybe there's like a onesies, twosies out there still. But within my lifetime, there are definitely plenty of them that they were able to interview and stuff. And so they've gotten them to where there's a lot of them on tape, talking about these awful, awful things they did. Some of them even laughing, recounting them now, like in a modern sense, and then also, saying the glee with which they did it back then. But I don't know, this reminds me of that, that idea. So this will be likely, I don't know, 50 years from now. I mean, there's a chance that this could be the same thing they look over there and like, oh, what an awful, awful thing these people did. And we'll be looking at all the stories and be like, how did that ever happen? And you're like, meanwhile, here we are watching it live. So it's I don't know, it's gross stuff. I'm not going to go through all the details. I more just want to let you know that is a thing out there. You guys can go check that out. Go check out the story and see all the different reports within it. I'm trying to scroll through, see if maybe there's any specific things to reference. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get too deep into the gore, but it's just another thing to just kind of back up the concept that, hey, I mean, there are people that clearly shit's going wild there. Like I don't even understand the counter perspective at this point. The people who try to position themselves as being, somewhat peace nicks, but while being like Israel's the exception. It's every day gets harder and harder. And then on that note, here we go. We have Israel finance minister, not even a grain of wheat will enter Gaza. Now this is Smotrich. He's known for saying these insane fucking things. But yeah, this is once again, if they couldn't be any more clear, here you go. Bazal, I can't even fucking say him. Bazal, can't even Bazal. I thought it was Bazazel for some reason. Those are two Z's, but it's Bazalol. It's like I swear, it's like invoking a demon saying his name. Smotrich declared that Tel Aviv would not lift its blockade of all goods entering Gaza. Since March, Israel has prevented all food, medicine, fuel, and other aid from reaching besieged Palestinians in the Strip. So that's since March. We are now in April. That was about mid-March. I forget exactly when they started. So we're almost a month now of these people having no goods whatsoever. So, yeah. I mean, it's really all there needs to be said there. I mean, just kind of think that through. So I mean, even here we go. On Tuesday, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres told reporters, what the hell? The Israeli siege has turned Gaza into a killing field. More than an entire month has passed without a drop of aid into Gaza. No food, no fuel, no medicine, no commercial supplies, he added. As aid has dried up, the floodgates of horror have opened. Gaza is a killing field, and civilians are in an endless death loop. Yep, I'm not going to belabor this point. Just kind of rolling through these. Now, as if we weren't doing enough for Israel, here we go. Trump administration winds crackdown, revoking hundreds of students' visas. Here we go. This is kind of under the purview of Rubio. Here we go. The Trump administration reportedly revoked hundreds of student visas, admitting a widening crackdown. In recent days, dozens of schools have announced their draconian measures by the Trump administration have targeted some of the students. The list includes UC Berkeley, UCLA, Stanford, Ohio State, Minnesota State University, and University of Kentucky, Northeastern, and Harvard. Last month, Secretary of State Marco Rubio guessed that he had revoked about 300 visas since arriving in office. So I don't know, actually, if it's primarily student visas, Rubio told reporters. It's a combination of visas. They're visitors to the country. If they're taking activities that are counter to our national interest, to our foreign policy, we'll revoke the visa. So once again, this language is getting more and more and more clear as we go on what was really meant. I feel like this was sold from the start as like this soft, like, oh, well, these are literal advocates of terrorism. The idea being like, oh, the implication being people who are literally advocating for criminal acts, like harming human beings. And then it slowly became, now we're sort of going to conflate that with supporting Palestinians. And now we're just at a point to where if they're counter to our national interests, our foreign policy, so the idea being of our other foreign nations' foreign policy, essentially, because of the fact that it's in our national interest, supposedly, and from their perspective, because they're allies or whatever, and then it has to do with our foreign policy, which, I mean, I don't really know it's kind of wild to say that's our foreign policy, since we shouldn't be having shit to do with that, and that's kind of been the stance. I mean, I guess, obviously, we've been funding and arming them entirely, but we still play this game of like, oh, well, no fucking troops, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure the Chads or whatever the fuck they're called, there were some weird missile systems that we sent over recently, I think, that we actually had to send over military members with. But like, hey, what is it? Look, it was different when we were talking about Russia, Ukraine, and like oh no, we might be sending over people. Like, what are the Palestinians going to do? Are they going to complain about, oh no, U.S. has entered the war? So I don't know. It's just it's a little bit depressing. So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, once again, I mean, far be it for me to have too much sympathy for foreign college students. Like, I don't really give a shit, but it's just kind of the idea of this just chilling. It's chilling to certain ideas. The idea that you would like set your parameters for immigration along this. It seems a little bit freaky. Mark my words. The next things that are going to start happening is they're going to start doing what is it called? Security clearances. That's going to be the move. It'll be like military members, intelligence agents, things like that. That'll be the move. People who are showing, it'll probably start as terrorists. They may even find some odd guy to start out with that actually sort of did support terrorism. And then it'll likely then, as time goes on, just become, oh no, it's counter to our foreign interests. And it'll be that now if you're someone out there that has a security clearance, that you can no longer hold any counter views, which, I mean, this is another example of like, okay, like, I don't know, am I really all that upset about some, because I mean, security clearances, what is that typically? That's military, that's intelligence agents, so it's like, frankly, I don't really give a shit, like, I mean, in a certain sense, but the idea then becomes, it's boxing out anyone that has anything resembling good ideas. So in those things, which I guess in a certain sense may be cool, because you're like, hey, whatever, cool, you're sending them over to the actual true free market. You're getting, you might be driving these people out of the government teat. So maybe we can actually get some of the good people, kind of like what COVID did to like the military as well, where a lot of the good people left, and now these are people contributing to creating actual value in a real market as opposed to stealing our tax dollars and existing off of coercion, which is what all government workers do. So all right, yeah, so let's move on from this. Let's hop into the chat, see what you guys have to say. All right, teat, someone just wanted to say teat. Did I say something other than teat? Why did you feel the need to say teat? Unless you just like saying teat. Teat is a fun word. So somebody says, I'm convinced Crowley was successful in some rituals, especially sex magic and Hollywood and music, entertainment in general. I think he was too, but I also think maybe you might be applying too much woo-woo. I think his rituals, it's the idea of like, what's the difference between a deep state and a magician? Like, seeing like a deep vent, like a 9/11, that's a magic trick. So I think that's kind of what Crowley meant. I do think maybe he did literally mean some of the entities he talked to, but I don't know. I mean, as I just covered in my Temple of Set stuff, even the language they used to describe their deity was like, you're being squirrely. I think you're just being an atheist that's throwing on some woo-woo. And that's kind of the vibe I sort of got from Crowley a little bit, although I wouldn't be surprised if there's some other shit going on. But either way, point being is you can kind of understand these a lot of these rituals as having alternate purposes. So, All right, scrolling through the chat, seeing what you guys have to say. Someone's saying Israel's built by terrorists for terrorists, 100%. See you guys talking about some interview you guys are watching. Someone saying Tim Pool is bald because of Qatar. God damn it, they can't keep getting away with this. All right, guys, let's 1 second. Let's get into let me see. Magic is 93% manifesting reality in the quantum field through intention. Okay, sure. I think somehow like intention too, just like I think you just I don't know. I get it. There is the whole like quantum studies, like the observation problem that when they've been able to supposedly tell when someone's observing differences in certain occurrences at like a quantum level or some shit like that. So that's the observation problem, but it's, I don't know. But at the same time though, like how are you documenting the non-observation because you're observing it too? I don't know. I don't know how much I put into that, but either way, it's like you don't really need to. I think to some extent too, even just the idea of when you're manifesting or intention, I think sometimes even just thinking about things, like for example, a good example is lifting. They've shown studies that show that like if you think about lifting, there is a significant, I mean, not like roids or anything crazy, but a measurable difference in the gains that you will get. And the reason being is, you're literally strengthening your mind-body connection. You're running it through your head, like, and you're just thinking through the movements, like just stuff like that. So even just like I'm intending to get stronger, just so thinking about things like where the mind goes, the body follows, and this means in a lot of different ways. So if you are intending something, and if you're putting out there, and if you are going so far as to doing weird rituals that you really are going to like, I'm really intending this to happen. Well, now you're increasing the intention. You're further committing yourself to this cause. I mean, yes, maybe. No, like all this woo-woo that you're doing, I think more the idea is that you're like adding a level of like a imprint and significance. It's kind of the same idea when we talked about when it came to like trauma and how you always hear weird traumas, and it's kind of the idea of that you need to have something. It kind of makes it stick more. Like if you have some bizarre thing, like it's like instead of just like a normal, just like someone holds you down and then violently takes you or whatever, you need, like, what I mean. Now if the other option is now they do that with a fucking, I don't know, a Ronald Reagan mask on and wearing fake breasts and a strap on, like you're gonna be like, oh my God, what the hell is going? Like it's traumatic, but it's also confusing. It sticks in. So I think the same idea could also apply to like things like rituals, because it's like you're bringing other people into it. You're bringing you're bringing it to like another level essentially. And so it's like it's going to stick in people's head. And so like I think it's kind of yeah, I mean, I guess sure, yeah, if you did that and then literally something manifested out of thin air, but it's like it's never that. It's always like, oh, we're going to bring on a new age through this ritual, and then things happen. And it's like, okay, well, is it that you really just committed yourself to this, and then you created change agents throughout the world that were involved in these acts as well, who then kind of essentially manifest it through their actions? Like, I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like we're kind of parsing words here. You can call that magic, or you can call that people being crazy and doing weird shit in the woods. I mean, I don't know. I mean, at the same time, it does kind of seem to have the same effect. So. All right, let's get out of here. Someone says you're getting too heady about it. There's a reason why people pray the Ho'oponopono prayer and then immediately get a phone call from the person they haven't talked to in years and are using the forgiveness prayer on. Perhaps, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I've heard people saying that. I mean, I also think it's perfectly believable too that a lot of times, like we do like to attach significance to things, which is a problem we get caught up a lot in the conspiracy world, myself included. We are pattern recognizers out there. And so obviously if I would assume to kind of give the secular argument, if you are someone doing some sort of prayer like that, I would assume you probably are someone who regularly prays usually. So it's like, is it really that crazy? You get someone that I don't know. I mean, perhaps. I mean, crazy things happen, but I don't know. I mean, maybe there is something to the idea of like putting intention into the universe, and that does something. I'm not opposed to the idea. It's just I think that it helps at the very least if you can try to explain it to the best degree in a secular fashion, at least for the very least for people to wrap their heads around. I mean, sure. I mean, yes, maybe you can say there's woo-woo out there, but it is going to scare off a lot of people. So I don't know. I think it's helpful to be able to try to explain it even a secular way, even if you do want to apply religion to it. And I completely get why people would. I cover some me and Austin cover dark shit. So here's Shayun saying, likes up, people. Hell yeah, people. Leave some likes, baby. Invisible contract, says JMA. 100%. Exactly. Someone's saying, Jose, goddamn alpha predator, baby. Yeah. Yeah, see, 15% gain in muscle mass just from visualizing exercise. Yup. Someone says, having been born, raised, and inculcated into a platonic cave has much to do with it as well. People do not know what is real anymore. There you go. That's the idea, too. It's a lot of it's like these mind games they play, and you mind war, if you will. Man, my hair was doing so good. I know you guys are about to start making fun of me or messing with it. I need to stop. It's like every time I wash it, it always comes out goofy. Then it looks fine. Then, I don't know. Anyways, I just knew you guys were going to start making fun of me in chat for playing my hair, but it just was noticing it was looking goofy. All right. Boop-a-doo. So let me see. It's scrolling through you guys says what you guys say. God uses symbology. It's everywhere. Perhaps he does. I don't necessarily disagree with you. I am an atheist, an agnostic atheist. But I will. When I say that, what I mean is, theism to me is a question of belief. So I don't believe in a God. I just haven't been convinced of one. Now, I am also agnostic, and when it comes to agnostic, obviously there's other meanings for gnostic, but in this context, it means knowledge claims. So, like, I don't claim to know there is no God, because that would be illogical, but I also don't know there is one. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I don't know there's a God. I don't currently believe of one. I wouldn't be astounded if there is one. I just haven't really been convinced. And cue all the religious stuff in the chat. Everyone's saying come to Jesus, all that. So, which I appreciate that. That's cool. I mean, I get it. I get it comes from a place of love from everybody. But all right, trust me, I hear it from my mom all the time. But all right, let's get into the next story. This will be kind of sort of the last on the foreign policy. We're getting a little bit closer to home here. Here we go. Trump administration considers drone strikes on Mexican cartels. Yeah, that's exactly what we need, right? So the Trump administration is considering launching drone strikes against cartels in Mexico in an effort to stem the flow of fentanyl and other drugs through the southern border, NBC News reported on Tuesday. By the way, if I didn't mention this earlier, I usually try to do my best to mention it. I mean, you guys have been in here enough, but I just saying it now just so I don't feel bad. I'm pulling these from Anti-War. So pretty much for the most part, you can just assume antiwar.com. If I'm covering foreign policy stuff, it's almost always from antiwar.com. Usually I'll tell you otherwise, and probably the majority of these are usually by Dave DeCamp. I just realized I've been bad and forgot to say that. I try to give credit where credit's due. So Dave DeCamp's the man. You definitely should be watching Anti-War News every day and reading antiwarnews.com. Just whatever works best for you, or both. But the report, which cited multiple former and current U.S. officials, said the discussions were still in the early stages, but the administration has taken steps towards taking military action against cartels, including designating them as terrorist organizations and stepping up CIA drone flights. So we're already at drone flights. We're just not quite at strikes. In response to the report, the report said that Trump administration would prefer to launch drone strikes against cartels in cooperation with the Mexican government, but is not ruling out launching unilateral military action, which would significantly rupture U.S.-Mexico relations. In response to the report, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum rejected the idea of any unilateral U.S. action. We reject any form of intervention or interference. That's been very clear. Mexico coordinates and collaborates, but does not subordinate itself. There's no interference, nor will there be. I'll give it to her. That was pretty dope. I mean, it was pretty big dick energy there. Good for her. I mean, it's a little bit freaky. I mean, I will say that statement, I mean, that did say we ain't your bitch, but at the same time, it's also saying there is the subtle in there, like, oh, but hey, you let us know, like, so Mexico coordinates and collaborates. So there you go. So it looks like maybe we might be doing some joint stuff, which I don't know. That might be something I have to think about if you're doing it in joint. I don't know how I feel. I guess I'd still just rather we just stay out of it in general. Like, if Mexico wants to deal with it, they can deal with it. Maybe you could say, maybe if they could figure out some sort of way to empower Texas, that would be more appropriate, or like the southern states. I don't know. I just generally am adverse to our government stepping in this fashion. Now, if we're talking about them working with the Mexican government, I don't really know how that would work. I mean, I don't know. If you're talking about people actually doing violent actions, I mean, I'm not necessarily, I mean, I guess we're getting a little bit in the weeds here because obviously in a theory, like I'm not theoretically, I would actually would rather we just legalize everything and then we would no longer have this cartel problem. And so this is kind of an economic problem. I mean, let's be real though. The vast majority of these cartels are kind of like doing crazy fucked up shit. So it's like, far be it for me to feel bad, but we do have to kind of parse the issue and be like, to some extent, it's more that they're out there creating victims. They're chopping up people. They're they're killing their opponents. They're doing violent actions. So they are creating victims. Now, for that, I'm fine with those people paying the price for that. If you are able to do that in a way that doesn't affect innocence, which is like the greatest caveat of ever, because it's never, ever, ever, ever the case, almost. So I don't know. I mean, I'm still kind of. We'll see how this plays out. It is concerning for things to be happening on our southern border like this and us getting involved because we do not have the greatest track record. Look at how we're doing things over the Middle East. Although I will give them the smallest bit of like, there's something to this because I mean they are on our border. They are. I would assume. I would only assume. I've never been in a border state really. I would assume there's probably a shitload of like violent stuff going on around the borders and stuff. So they do have a cartel problem. So they essentially are violent organizations in a certain sense. I mean, if it just was the drug stuff, if they were like illegally selling drugs, but like morally being moral actors out there and not engaging in violence and other stuff, it'd be a different story. But I mean, these are gangsters. They're also doing other, actions that I also would agree with are illegal. It's just, I guess, the framing of that we're going after them for drugs is I'm not really a fan of. I'd rather us go the other way. But these are also head choppers too, so it's like I don't know. I mean, it's a precarious position to be in for sure. And I generally am like, yo, stay the fuck out of this. I feel like there's got to be better ways, even if it's something as like empowering the border states. Just the idea that we would. In a federal, I mean, hell, wouldn't this be exactly what things like guards are for? Like the National Guard, the reserves, stuff like that, aside from just being something to bolster our fucking foreign, empire? Because the whole point of the Guard was supposed to be like, this was they sold it as like essentially, our militia or whatever. And it's like, they're supposed to be the state level militia. So I don't know. This sounds like something they would be for. So I just don't really feel like this should be something that the CIA, I don't know. I just generally just don't like this. I mean, it is kind of a somewhat novel situation because we've kind of ignored this problem for a long time. So I don't know. I'll probably have a more solid, idea on this as we go on. It's just, I'm kind of torn on this. I mean, I would definitely prefer we just like don't even do this at all and legalize or anything, but I mean, I don't know. It's just something I got to think on. Let's pop in the chat and we'll get into some of the stories you guys really want to get into. Namely the thumbnail we have here. All right, you guys are talking about drugs in the chat. But everyone hit that like button. See someone saying how many people are watching, nobody liking. You hit that fucking like button, you dicks. All right. So, see you guys talking about Shine Bomb in there. Yeah, Shine Bomb, question mark. What kind of name is that? Yeah, I know, right? The reason InfoWars is important is because all of history is a psyop, says JMS 100%. Someone says I was an agnostic atheist, but before I did a crap ton of 5-MeO DMT in one day and ripped a hole in reality. Yeah, I have toyed with hallucinogens a little bit. I've done a little bit of shrooms. Never like, I've done borderline heroic doses, maybe ones you could say are almost heroic. I've done mostly just kind of like small micro stuff. I've liked the effect mushrooms had. I felt like generally those, like, they feel wholesome. Like every time I've done it, it almost feels like a therapy session with myself. It just makes me much more intrinsically thinking, evaluating stuff in like a positive way. Like I'll be like, oh, I'm recognizing I have this behavior and how I react to certain people, and I think maybe if I behave this way, this would actually be better for everyone involved instead. And obviously this is a flaw in myself and I should work on it. But like just in like, it's like in a positive way. Like sometimes it is like, when people talk about like shrooms, talk about having dark trips. It's like, it's just that it's like a dark therapy session. You're like, holy shit. Like, it's like you're just coming to terms with things that most people just kind of ignore within themselves that, the contradictions within themselves. Like, hey, I did this one awful thing that one time, yet I think of myself as great. And you're like, and in mushrooms is more like, well, okay, how can I bring myself to actually being great and not to do that again? And to actually, live up to the idea of myself in my own head. Whereas I have messed with other things like acid like a couple times, and I had the exact opposite experience. I did not like it. And I didn't do high dose. It just felt evil. Like, it felt like it was the opposite of that. Like where mushrooms would be like, how can we improve things? How can we do things better? Like, how can we be a better person? If anything, I'd found myself with acid, like it would be like, I'd find myself slipping into like dark, intrusive thoughts. And it would be like, and it wouldn't be like, every now and then we have weird, dark, intrusive thoughts. We'll be like sitting there and be like, what if I just like punched that guy in the face? Or what if I just like did this? And you're like, you never do it. But like acid, I still wouldn't do it, but I would like think about it. And then I would like when you have an intrusive thought, you'll think about it and then you're like, no, I wouldn't do that. That's awful. That like, you're like, that's just, but it was just a weird thought you had that popped in your head. You're like, I don't know, just wouldn't it be wild if I just punched this person as hard as I could? Like, they're only like 90 pounds. I bet you I could probably could lift them off the ground. But then you realize, you're like, what am I doing? That's insane. And then you're like, no, that's awful. Whereas like acid, like you have those sort of thoughts and you're like, yeah, that's great. I should do that. You're like, and then later you think about it and you're like, holy fucking shit, I don't like that. Then it just felt like it made me a worse person, essentially. Like, I didn't like it. And it just feels like it's coming from a dark place, whereas something like shrooms seems like it's coming from a wholesome place. But yeah, definitely don't take my word for it with those things. Be careful in messing with drugs. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't know if I'd suggest going full on blowing a hole in reality with DMT. I've never done DMT, so who knows? Maybe I'll find God when I take DMT or one of these days. That's what everyone always says. You'll find God with DMT. I don't know. I mean, with mushrooms, it's kind of opened my eyes in a lot of ways. So I don't know. All right, scrolling through you guys' chat real quick. You guys got all excited about the mushrooms. I think the bots probably came out. Probably going to start offering me mushrooms in the chat. Yeah, see someone saying stick to the naturals. So somebody was saying, were you going to say you tried meth? No, I've never tried meth. Someone says I used to have some fucked up acid trips back when I was MK Ultraing myself. Someone says, yeah, mushrooms definitely made me look at myself. And then yes, something was missing in me when I dropped acid. So yeah, it seems to be someone says I laughed out loud when he said probably lift them off the ground. Yeah. So someone says, then how do you have ethics? I don't know what you're talking about here. Oh, I need to turn off sorry about that. You guys probably heard my phone beep. I'll turn that off real quick. That was super unprofessional of myself that I didn't have that ready to go. All right. Let me see. Scrolling through the chat. See what you guys say. LSD was created by the Nazis. Yeah, was it? Maybe it was. Someone says DMT and psilocybin are very close molecularly. That would make sense. All right. Mushrooms were made by the Lizard King, says JMS. All right. Let's get into what all you guys are here for. The big, beautiful, bald bastard himself. Fucking the old Timmy Pool, the tool man. Here we go. Here we go. We got Tim Pool. We talked about this a little bit last night on Already Dead. Just I guess give you kind of a little bit of background on this. There was, I guess, supposedly some super secret influencer meeting with Tim Pool and I guess namely a few other influencers with Netanyahu. And there was stuff that came out yesterday. There was like an article where people were saying that Tim Pool in this meeting brought up the fact about how anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism seem to be getting inflated by bots, and that there's like a Qatari op or whatever, which he said multiple times in his show, things along these lines, feeding into that, which, by the way, apparently there was actually literally a propaganda seeded out by Israel like a year ago. I forget exactly which of their members, which of their officials it was, but it was a few different people that were kind of seeded out this like, oh, Qatar is funding. So that's kind of just the narrative. That's the Israel narrative, is that these people are funded by Qatar, and maybe some of them are. I mean, obviously the irony here is, for anyone, every accusation is a confession, especially when it comes to all things Israel. Because yeah, Netanyahu's literally currently dealing with a big I mean, I should be following this more, honestly, but I know the kind of the overall beats, and I don't know enough really about the ins and outs. I know there's a controversy with him and the Shin Bet. because I guess the head of the Shin Bet, essentially, which I believe is like one of their intelligence agencies or something, was essentially trying to go after Netanyahu for taking Qatari money, essentially. Like it looked like they were supporting Hamas. If I might have this wrong, from my understanding, the idea is that they were supporting Hamas through Qatar. So the idea is that Qatar was the cutout here, like they were the go-between man, and so that like this is what was being exposed by the Shin Bet, and I think he either was successful in firing him or was trying to fire him, but there was the head of the Shin Bet, he did try to fire, or was trying to, or whatever. The point being is, once again, accusation is actually confession. Not Tim Pool himself particularly, but just this narrative, the idea that like, these guys are funded by Qatar, and it's like, dude, Netanyahu was literally giving money to Qatar to fund Hamas. Like that is, and also on top of that, I don't think I ever covered this on the show. I meant to a while ago. It was during one of those times where we had a lot of new stuff going on and a lot of the Jew stuff, like anti-Semitism task force and stuff. There was a while back, and I think Greenwald has covered this a few times. There was it was $150 million, I think. There was like a story that was floated out by some Israeli official that they were something like in the realm of like $150 million for foreign, I don't know what word they used, but propaganda essentially. I forget what words they used, but the idea being is they were openly being like, yes, we're out there giving money to influencers. So there is, anyone with a brain can see that, but they're obviously out there shelling out, at the government level, big money for people to say what needs to be said, which is, honestly a tale as old as time when it came to Israel. It's kind of the sad thing here is that that's what they've played off of, is they've controlled the PR game from the jump. Like in the creation of Israel, Palestine, no one really had shit to do with the Middle East. It was a bunch of Eastern Europeans who came into the Middle East in a time when the rest of the world didn't give a flying fuck about the Middle East, nor know shit about them, their customs, anything. And then these Eastern Europeans come in and just start bucking shit up and take over the place. And these are Eastern Europeans that had their hands, they came from these countries. They were in powerful positions all over the Western world and, the established world. And so they were able to make themselves look like the civilized ones. They were able to control the narrative game from the jump, back from the 40s and before. This was how the game was played. They played the PR game, and they essentially paid off, did whatever they needed to do, blackmailed, whatever, to control the PR game. This has been super important for them from the jump. And the issue is, especially like now as time's it's becoming less the case, where we're becoming less. We spent decades now in the Middle East, so we're less like stuck in this like, oh no, they're backwards. We're becoming more familiar with them and accepting them as actual human beings, and becoming more and understanding their customs, understanding the little bits of nuances, and that they aren't just one force of Muslims, the end. It's like there's different forces within them. There's Shiites, there's Sunnis. Anyways, I'm off base, but yeah, we have to get back to the point here, is we had what's his face, Netanyahu, meeting with a bunch of influencers, and he was saying the whole, like I said, the whole fucking that thing. So that was, and then last night I shared this on Already Dead that he Tim Pool had a tweet saying, "Oh, this is fake news, fake and gay, whatever." So then he comes out, and I guess last night while we were doing Already Dead, and he on Timcast IRL, he addressed all this. So we're gonna kind of go through a lot of these. I'm not going to watch the entire show because miss me with that gay shit. I'm not doing that. It's I don't know. I appreciate them bringing me on the show in the past. Frankly, I don't even know if I would want to go on if I got offered right now, just because it's just, I don't know, it's kind of frankly boring. The audience I've created doesn't really seem like something you guys would even really care if I went on anyway. So it's like, I don't know, like, and then really, frankly, the times I went, I did get a boost. So it is like, I guess I'd probably go on. It wouldn't be something that I would really be like, it would kind of be like, okay, I guess it almost feels obligatory, because it's like enough. It's a large enough platform where you're like, you almost feel like you'd be foolish not to. But I can tell you from experience from being on there twice. It's not like anything so far as like building up my platform or whatever. It's not like anything like astounding. So it's not like something I'm like, I don't know, maybe I don't know, maybe get like a, handful of more watchers, maybe get like I don't know, a few hundred more. It's not that big of a deal, really. So it's just like I appreciate the jump they gave. I'm sure that's had contributed a lot to my whatever you want, if you want to call what I've experienced success. I guess I'm sure it's contributed a lot, and so that's cool. Although I would contribute that far more to Cassandra McDonald, who has been fired since then. Because Cassandra was the shit. She's cool. I really liked her. I mean, obviously, she's got a lot of issues where she doesn't get along with libertarians, but she's cool. She was always really cool to me. Super dope when it came to Israel and a lot of issues that I care about. The issues that were like I didn't agree with her on, like say things like weed or drugs or whatever, like these are things I also just don't really care to argue about. And she's so great on things that are like matter the most. So I'm like, why would I care to fucking get in an argument with her about whether weed should be legal online? I just don't fucking care. Anyways, just to kind of throw that out there, because it's like, I feel like it almost feels like I'm biting the hand that feed, but it's like also like, I don't know. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. They didn't really feed me that much. And it's like, I don't even really know if I can really attribute that all that much to Tim. I mean, it's not like I ever really had a personal relationship with him or anything. So, but this is, I gotta say, this whole situation, especially, I mean, we're about to go through all these. Once again, the show is more like typically kind of reaction. So I haven't watched all this stuff. I've seen just kind of by being on Twitter and stuff, the rough idea of the explanation he gave. But, I mean, generally this feels pretty gross, the little bits I've understood of this so far. So let's go ahead and get into it. I guess I figured I kind of want to start off with, I guess, kind of poisoning the well here, but whatever. I don't give a flying fuck. I'm kind of like, this is kind of gross, frankly. We'll get into explaining more of the details of why this is particularly so gross. But here we go. We have top. He says, major influencer in the United States met with a leader of an adversarial foreign country under the guise of secrecy. There are words I have for this, but they are not legal on this platform. So let's go ahead and play this clip and see what he has to say for himself here.
Late word that I was invited to a private roundtable meeting with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. It was under what's called Chatham House rules. For those that are not familiar, this means that you cannot reveal anybody who attended, nor attribute anything to any one individual, as they can deny it, and they would. However, what I love about what the White House is currently doing, I
want to take a second and remind you guys, well, I guess not remind you, let you guys know, that's also the same rules they use in Bilderberg. And like, these are things I feel like you think about at first and you go, okay, like, I don't know. We've all been in situations where, like, I don't know, you've been with friends or whatever and you're talking about sensitive stuff and it's like, I don't know, it would just be shitty to go talk about this. But like, let's be real. Like, I struggle to think of situations other than like, if you're literally like, I don't know, military, cop, whatever, as part of an operation, or if it's something like friends. Aside from that, like, why the idea that you would be, you know, have such a level of secrecy, I guess the implication here is like, unless you're telling me, okay, once again, so he's saying Chatham House rules, the idea here, just a recap, is that no one talks about who was there, no one talks about what was said, anything like that. That's the idea. Everyone agrees upon it and then just have a meeting. The idea is it's like, the way they spin it is like, oh, it's supposed to open vigorous debate, and that way no one has to be worried about what they're saying, and they can just speak openly. But the gross thing about this is like the only reason this would really make sense in my head why you would have a meeting like this is if you were planning some sort of sensitive operation of some sort, you know, say like cop, military, something like that. Or if it's because these are close friends, like very close friends that you're like, hey, we're at a point where like, you know, we can have confidence with each other. Like, you can trust me. That's just kind of like, hey, you know, like, and obviously even then though, it depends on what this friend is fucking telling you, you know, like, but like, generally speaking, my point being is like, when these sort of things were reserved for would be situations like this. I struggle with the idea of, as journalists, influencers, really just free human beings meeting with a leader of a foreign nation. You know, it just feels like, wow. What real reasoning is there for to interact under this? Let's finish this. I'm struggling to wrap my head around the steel man of this, but let's go on.
bring together a bunch of influencers and podcasters who don't know much about journalism culture, whatever you want to call it. Not that we respect it tremendously. Most people didn't know what Chatham House meant. So with all due respect, it's funny because they bring us into the Blair House, which is where Netanyahu was staying.
I just got to point out that feels particularly fucking gross. That, for one, I don't know if what he's saying here is that I mean, I guess we can replay that, but I don't really care. But he's saying that, like, these were influencers, and so something about meeting and the fact that they don't really know. I don't know if he was saying that the meeting had something to do with the fact that these people didn't really know much about traditional journalism because these are influencer types. Maybe the idea is to kind of like, oh, hey, these are the new class of journalists. We need to interact with them and kind of acclimate them to how things used to be. I guess, which that in and of itself is kind of gross. Like, what are you trying to, like, hey guys, here's the new status quo, is almost the implication, like, old boss, new boss, old media, new media type deal. But it also, I don't really know how to interpret that there. Also, there definitely was some sort of like this hoity-toity, I guess he's not saying it outright, but it kind of puts off this, like, oh, these guys don't know. Because then he also mentions, that a lot of them don't know the Chatham rules after following up mentioning about, like, the traditional journalism, whatever, like not being familiar with it or whatever. So I felt like some of his wording implied maybe like that's what the meeting was about, but it definitely for sure got out that the idea that like he also was casting aspersions about like clearly some of these people didn't know stuff, and that's why they're talking about this Chatham House rules stuff. They didn't even know what Chatham House rules were. This is why clearly I think he's implying this is why people are talking out of court type deal, like talking out of turn essentially when they shouldn't be, because this is how I guess this information came out is. One of these people isn't a complete and utter bitch like the rest of them. So one of them decided, hey, you know what? Like, I'm essentially taking on the role of a journalist or an influencer here. Maybe I should do some fucking journalism. That'd be great. I will say at the same time, though, I will say it's kind of a little bit gross, although I'm torn on it. It's a little bit gross to agree to this meeting ahead of time and, like, knowing that, like, hey, none of us are going to, like, we're entering this meeting. Something's gross about that. But at the same time, I also, like, considering it's Netanyahu, and then also, like, I don't know, like, whose other trust are you betraying? Some other fucking faggoty influencers? Like, who fucking cares? Fuck them. Like, especially if we're talking about something meaningful in relation to world news. Fuck them. Like, I don't give a fuck. So... Yeah, I know. Just the point being, it just felt elitist, felt gay. That felt like it almost felt like talking down. It felt like this. The route here is like it's almost being dismissive, sort of, in a hoity-toity, like above it all way, and like, oh, it's just that this is just how journalists do it. This is just. I mean, I've been in this game for a long time. It's just it had that feeling. These silly. You guys just don't get it. You guys just don't get it, and maybe I just don't get it. I don't know if I would ever get this. This seems wild to me. At least, especially in this specific configuration. I mean, I can understand situations in which, hey, we're all going to talk, and we're all agreeing that like no one's going to tell what everyone said here because, hey, we're talking about something sensitive. We're talking about I don't know, my neighbor Bob's having an affair, and I don't know, I'm telling some friends about it. Hey, you can't tell anybody about it. Like, I just really got to get off my chest. Wait, whatever. Something like that, cool. But if we're talking to fucking Netanyahu and we're talking about, hey, how we're going to, how to move narratives, how to, about foreign policy, whatever. No, fucking do your fucking job. So, all right, let's go on.
And immediately people are walking around with their cameras, their phones up. They actually took our phones from us. And I legit thought they would maintain Chatham House rules, meaning you can't quote the prime minister, you can't quote his officials and the other people who were there, but you can report what was said generally. If you wanted an official quote on a specific matter, you would then... Okay, all right, maybe I've been a little bit too harsh on him. That right there is an important caveat. So, a little back. If on the off chance Tim Pool watches my coverage of this, a little bit my bad. I will say, okay, it's a little bit different. That changes it a little bit. If now we're talking about that you can talk about it vaguely, let's re-go over that because I kind of want to get... His officials and the other people who were there. But you can report what was said generally. So you can report what was said generally. I think the implication here is that you can't say names is the idea. So you can say what was said generally, so you can probably talk about what the discussion was about, but you can't say who or... But even then, like, I don't know, we're damn near basically in the same situation, assuming that's the case. So, all right, let's keep going. If you wanted an official quote on a specific matter... You would then ask an official once the meeting was wrapped, and they'd provide you the exact quote. Or they would just say outright, like, yeah, put our quotes on that one.
All right. Well, then, I mean, so that's de facto, like, no. Like, I guess quotes are like if someone wants to accept it. So, all right. This still feels gross to me. But let's
Or they would just say outright,
let's.
like,
Oops, sorry, I
can't
didn't
put
mean to
our
keep
quotes on
playing
that
that. Let's go on now. Let's follow along a little thread that kind of went into it. Here's Dave DeCamp, the homie, the he's not the homie, the G, the fucking the OG. And here's actually, we can kind of, I guess it's a little bit of a backup for those who want a little bit of a recap. It says, according to Jewish insider, Tim Pool complained to Netanyahu about anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism in the pro-Trump podcasting space and suggested it was a Qatari op. So this is what he's talking about, where someone betrayed this. So I guess I'm assuming the idea that some of these are, put in quotes, like op is in quotes here, implying that this was directly said, which is weird to just do one fucking word. Also, Netanyahu being quoted saying, it's possible. And then I would assume maybe the implication that they're saying the names, like Pool, specifics. That would be the issue here. But obviously, once again, like I mentioned, it's the Qatari op angle that he was getting at. Then he goes and says, as I said before, he goes, the story mischaracterizes what I said and how the conversation with Netanyahu went. I will discuss tonight on Timcast IRL. And then here you go. Here's what he said. Now, bear in mind, this is I think this might be the same video. So give me a little. Let's see what it says.
Last night I wasn't here. I got late.
Yep, that's the same video. So, but this is a whole thread of these. So we'll kind of go through a few of them. Then we go. Tim Pool says Jewish insiders report was close to reality, but still fake news. Which I warned a little bit about this last night on Already Dead. Tim does have a. Which is funny. I listened to Radix Verim's coverage of this, and she's been doing some similar stream. Well, I don't know if they're streams or they're premieres lately, but either way, pop into those. They've been great. But she kind of brought up about that the idea that she thought he was trolling at first, because he did put out some sort of tweet about like meeting with Netanyahu or something, and I had that thought as well. And then I saw this stuff. So, the idea that he does say stuff and then not really mean it a lot, and then goes, oh, look, I got you, you stupid libs, or whatever. You're like, oh, I said a thing, and you like, I know he's not even really particularly good at it. Like I used to do stuff like that a lot, where I would say things in a way that like you have to choose to be offended, essentially, and then you kind of like, oh, look, someone chose to be offended. But he would say stuff where it was just like, he'll say stuff that's just like stupid. Like, I can't even come to an example off the top of my head. It's just dumb. But he'd be like, and he'll say something and later it'd be like, it's actually this. And then look at all the stupid left report. You're so dumb. And you're like, okay. I mean, I don't know. That's not really, okay. Anyways, I'm trying to think of an example of Tom Hicks. He's definitely done dumb shit like this. But either way, I did warn last night that with this, with him saying, oh, this was fake news or whatever, there's a solid chance that he was pulling something like that, where he does this stuff. He gets people on technicalities. He'll be like, oh no, this isn't, and then really it's like, oh, well, it was like this thing that's only slightly different. So here, I mean, like, close to reality, still fake news. So like, I don't know. Maybe we'll find out, I guess, here in a second. What exactly to say? I mean, we could read this thing. But let's hear directly from the horse's mouth. What do you say?
It's close to reality, but this is what they do. Okay, first, the person who was there clearly wasn't there. Ask somebody, who then conveyed incorrectly what I actually said. I said there has been a report released from pro-Israel sources alleging Qatar is funding bots and operations to promote anti-Israel content. Is there any evidence that's true? And he said, I don't know. It's possible. That's what happened. I did not say they actually were doing that, because I don't know that they're actually doing it. However, I did, to a variety of people, express what I've expressed on this show, that there are clearly bots that are anti-Israel and anti-Semitic. That is not to say that people who are critical of Israel don't exist, or that no one is critical of Israel. People certainly are. So my concern was, and I will say this too, speaking about the meeting, how they discussed Iran, the threat, and all of these things, I feel, based on that meeting, and I don't know if this was their intention or otherwise, that they are absolutely clueless as to what is going on in this country. They are too heavily focused on kinetic, on-the-ground Israel issues, which I can understand, I guess. And my attitude, and I'll tell you one thing I said to them, to these officials: in 10 years, your support will be your support from the U.S. will be evaporating, and in 20 years, you will not have U.S. support. That's what I said. So, and I stand by that. I don't know.
Hey, I'll give him credit for that. That sounds. I don't want to hear him say that again because he was pretty on point there. I'll give him credit.
In 10 years, your support will be your support from the U.S. will be evaporating, and in 20 years, you will not have U.S. support. That's what I said. So, and I stand by that.
Hey, I do want to point out real quick. This right here is exactly what I was talking about last night on Already Dead. Like this right here. I know a lot of people in the chat were giving me shit and like, oh, like it's not really many of you are giving me shit, but then you kind of would be like, I don't know, guys, they're like, Jose, no, I don't think you get it. He's a Zyokok. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. But comparatively speaking, and the role he plays, like I get it. From our perspective, from us, we see him as Zyokuk. But considering the other influencers he was palling with in this, and this kind of the realm that he fills, the role that he fills, whether intentional or unintentional, I know a lot of people like to, cast whatever, but whether he does it like completely organically, the role that he fills, I could see him doing stuff like just that right there. Like literally he just kind of pointed out, like, I mean, he frames it in kind of a weird way of almost like he's saying it to him. I don't know if I'd even say like he fence rides. That's what he does. I mean, so that the idea is that he could say stuff that kind of runs down the middle that then kind of is like, real shit like that right there. Like that is, well, that isn't like the greatest example of kind of what I was talking about, but it is sort of an example. It's kind of like, hey, he's pointing out like, hey, you guys in 10 years are going to be done here. And that's true. So, I mean, I think that's interesting that he's saying that there and saying it now. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Netanyahu doesn't realize this or not, but it maybe was worthwhile. So anyways, but let's go. Let's keep playing this.
I don't know. When it came to talks about Iran, certainly there was a deep concern, and the general conveyance from the Israelis was Iran says death to America. You are their principal target. They are upset that the U.S. is exerting power in the region, which they want to exert. So they're coming for you. Israel's an ally of the United States. Israel's an enemy of Iran. Iran wants to crush Israel, and they want to crush the United States. The sentiment being conveyed was whether the U.S. wants it or not, we will be in a war with Iran, whether we start it or they start it. I'm not entirely convinced that's true.
Okay, well, all right. I'd say that's this is kind of what I figured. I mean, it's still I still feel like this is kind of gross, but like once again, as I said, like the kind of stuff he's saying is a little bit. I mean, in the realm of like just tiny little edges better. Like he's like, yeah. So I mean, someone says here like Shayon, the fact he was invited to meet with Netanyahu speaks volumes in itself, and I agree with this point while also agreeing that like of those people, he is the closest to the line of like where we get little tidbits like we have just here, where it's like something sort of. So, which is far more than you could really honestly ever expect from any other sort of Zyokuk. So. But let's just scroll through you guys' chat, see what you guys have to say before I let the chat back up too much on us. Someone says Tim's inflection shows his deception. The indecisive language proves it out further. All the smart stuttering, and I don't know, man. Well, pretty seen to know. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I try not to get into like reading body language and stuff, but I have definitely. There have been like those notable moments where he like freaks out, where you're like, dude, just bizarre, just weird. I mean, like, so it is like. I don't know, maybe something weird's going on. Maybe he's on some sort of new meds or something. But like, there are definitely been moments where you're just like, what the fuck, dude? So I don't really know what to make of it. I like to try not to mind read if I can, because sometimes it'll put you in weird situations later when you look ridiculous. So, but yeah, definitely a little weird. Let's keep going. They're clueless to this issue of Israel's falling public support. Tim Pool laments. There's no message conveyed to young people why they should support Israel, and I'm not saying that I do. I'm asking them, what are you paying attention to? So, hey, once again, all right, let's keep playing.
The point I brought up when I mentioned the allegations, which they're allegations of, I don't know if there's evidence of this, which is why I asked, about Qatari. Let me see if I can pull this up. I think I actually have the allegations in question.
Oh, shit. I mean, fuck, man, dude. Like, I might even almost have to, if this keeps going this way, I might even have to pull it back and go, like, hey, maybe there's something to this. I mean, it's still a little bit gross that you would agree the Chatham rules or whatever, but, like, I don't know. The sort of stuff that he's saying, like, and the fact that he gets to say this to Netanyahu and assuming this is true, and I'm assuming since he's breaking his silence, I would assume this means other ones can confirm or deny if he's lying or not. I mean, I guess you could say they're all on the same page here, but hey, not so bad so far. Let's keep going.
Let me see if I can find this. Here we go. What is this?
I mean, because I wasn't expecting him to mention the Qatari shit at all. Like the Shin Bet stuff, that's pretty impressive.
FDD.
So props to him for that.
There are people that are saying that Tucker Carlson is being funded by Qatar as well.
I don't believe that anyone's being funded by Qatar.
Hey.
So FDD, this is the
Hey, all the people giving him shit. This is why exactly I will admit last night I tweeted in response actually to one of Dave DeCamp stuff. I can't remember what I said. It was something shitty. It was I was pissed when I saw this, and then as soon as I saw him deny it, I deleted it because I was just like, I don't know. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'll kind of look into this, see what there is. I still am kind of like torn about this. I don't like it, but he has kind of surprisingly said some shit that I would, as I basically said last night. Like he is like of this milieu of people, he is the one that like, oh shit. Like he would say the stuff. You're like, oh shit. Like I was kind of hoping no one would say that at this at this meeting, and he's saying it. So I mean, that's something. I mean, obviously, I'm not saying he's gonna fucking go, hey, free Palestine tomorrow. Nor am I even saying, I mean, cue all the chat going, oh, he's a Ziocock, he's a Ziocock. I'm like, yes, I agree. But it's like of those. Like, guys, this isn't a binary game. Let's keep going.
Foundation for Defense of Democracy says Al Jazeera allegedly using bots to spread propaganda while skirting U.S. law. This came out December 9th. I did not assert this was true. I said, is there evidence to corroborate this? Largely because what I see happening is multifaceted. I've talked to enough young people. Probably not enough, to be completely honest. But I've talked to young people. Where's the story? Here we go.
Sure.
Who are scared to call.
I do gotta say, who the fuck is he talking to? I mean, I'm not even trying to be a dick. It's just weird to say that. Like, who are you talking to? Like, I've seen the crowds of Timcast. It's kind of weird. Like, when they do live events. It's, who are you? Are you just talking about you've seen in the live chat? Who are you talking to? I know where they're at in West Virginia, so, like, it's pretty rural, so like I don't know what you saw someone at a convenience store when you were picking up a Red Bull. Like what are you doing? Like I don't know. I mean he's got a skate park. I feel like he's probably a homebody that doesn't. You know what? All credit to him. That's probably what I do too. Like I would if I was a millionaire and I wouldn't be fucking hanging out with any of you fucking pores. Maybe aside from events to hang out, have some fun, but like day to day, nah, I'm hiding in my little mansion, baby. I'm staying away from you guys. Maybe do a stream, hang out. We'll hang out in that way, but keep all you weirdos at a distance. Aside from when we do some like, sort of like big event, maybe like once or twice a year or some shit. But aside from that, like leave me the fuck alone. So I get that. But it's just this idea that like, oh, I'm a man of the people. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously I'm overanalyzing. I just thought that was kind of gay. But let's keep going.
The suspension of
but hey, he did catch himself. I think he caught himself after and was like, hey, all right. Like, he did kind of pull it back and like, well, not enough. So like, yeah, that's fair. Like, so. I think maybe he's becoming slightly aware of that I am out of touch. Because I think this is to some extent, I know everyone wants to say he's bought out this, that, and perhaps, maybe he is, probably is. I don't fucking know. As I said, I went there twice. I mean, I didn't see anything that would imply that. I didn't see a fucking Jews hiding in the attic or anything crazy. So I don't know, like there was nothing, nor would I expect to have seen anything. It's because, just to give you a little inside baseball, literally like how it works is they fly you out. When you do that show, they put you up in a hotel. They have a driver that brings you to the place. You show up like an hour or so before the show. Actually, like 2 hours roughly. About the show usually is how it went both times. So like roughly 2 hours, maybe a little bit less before the show. You hang out kind of downstairs with like the crew and staff and stuff. Mostly, and I'd say usually probably the on-screen people don't usually hang out there. And then, so you hang out there for an hour. They sometimes do some sort of like pre-show stuff. I don't know what they're doing now because they fired a lot of those people. So maybe they changed up shit. But then you end up going about an hour before the show. You go up to the room where they record. And that's where Tim kind of goes through the stories over the laptop. He goes, oh, we have this, we have that, we have this. Maybe ask for a little bit of input. Like, what do you think of that story? Do you like that story? And then just kind of, then boom, then you go into it. So I've done that twice. That's the extent of my interaction with this operation. So I didn't see anything. I shook Tim's hand twice. The second time was slightly less awkward, more like, okay, less off-puttish, more kind of smiles, more like obviously more rapport. So like by that I means he probably like recognized my face. He probably doesn't even know who I am still. So just kind of give you just an inside look. I don't know anything. So I forget why I was even going into a rant about whether he was fucking a Fed or not. But point is, I've never seen anything that pointed to it. But Oh, I remember what I was getting at. The idea of like being out of touch. I think a lot of this could probably be attributed to being out of touch because you got to think the people he hangs out with. Like I had my buddy Clint on the weekend on Morning Dump, and we were talking about the whole Kyle Seraphin BX like back and forth thing, and I was talking about how like Kyle Seraphin, the former FBI, he was talking about how he's been in his DMs before, telling him about. We were talking like on the show about how he's been in his DMs before, telling him about how this thing's not legit, that thing. He was also in Sean Ryan's Booker's DM. So it's like it's just you look at the people that surround it. It's going to be people like that, and a lot of these are going to be people that are of dubious origin, I guess is the way to put it, and have managed to sneak themselves into your circles. So. And even that aside, even if you don't want to say some sort of agents like that, you can say just the people you hang out with, just being as you're a millionaire influencer, and then the way that people react to you as a result of that. I think you're just going to naturally kind of somewhat be out of touch. And I don't really know what the secret to that is. I mean, maybe he'll get better now as a kid, and he's so good. Hope that's the case. I think children make a huge difference in people, or maybe he is completely bought out and but. It's hard to tell. I do think there is something to like, because he got kind of big pretty early on. I don't know, what was it? Probably I would say it had to have been at least his 20s when he really had his blow up, when he was like on Rogan multiple times. One of which, probably the big one, when he was arguing with Jack Dorsey and their lawyer. I don't know. He had kind of a big blow up pretty early on, somewhat kind of blew up, became like a millionaire, became a big name. So it is kind of how do you stay grounded? I don't know. And then you end up kind of. He did this thing where then he's like, well, I'm going to do this thing with all my buddies, and then kind of ends up shouldering all the burden of the financial. And now what happens when your buddies become your employees? I don't know. It almost feels like he's kind of slowly creating his own personal hell. I don't know. Sometimes if you do find it myself envying him, I'm like, I don't know if I'd want to be there. I don't know. Maybe I'd have to structure it differently if I ever blew up and got that much fame. It's just, I don't know. You almost feel like you might lose yourself a little bit. But, all right, we have here, he says, Tim Pool went on to speak with self-described raging Zionist Cam Higbee about his stalwart support for the Jewish state. All right, I guess we can play that. That's the last video. I don't know how much we'll get out of this, but let's play it, see what he has to say to a actual Zionist.
It's fairly obvious when you talk to any, Zoomers. They're clearly not pro-Israel. They look at the United States and say, look, we have our own problems here. And they look at our history of, foreign adventurism, and they're like, this hasn't worked out for me. This I can't pay bills, or I can't have a nice place, or whatever. So I think it's fairly obvious, right?
I think it comes from a lack of education on like how foreign policy actually works, and the fact that you literally cannot survive in this world without allies. 10 guys show up to beat you up. Are you going to fight them all by yourself? No, you need friends. Oh my!
This is a retarded way to look at the world, but yeah, I mean, no one's saying you can't have friends. But go on.
What?
I said Phil might.
Phil might. Yeah. But you see this from people in Congress too, that they just don't understand how foreign policy works. I think is really unfortunate. But the other issue to what you're talking about, with like the lack of Gen Z support for Israel, is there are no like pro-Israel champions that I really see. I talk about Israel a lot. I'm a raging Zionist. But I don't see a whole lot of other people who have like a firm understanding of the history and the context.
Most people can't make a cogent argument that that young people find compelling as to why we should.
Which is why on the right it's sure Israel can do its thing, don't care, and on the left it's down with Israel. So I actually, here's a question for you guys. Can you honest question? This is not a gotcha because I'm looking for a real answer, and for those that are listening, comments. Can you name a prominent, high-profile, large following? I'm talking like a podcast with millions of listeners, who is staunchly pro-Israel, advocating very heavily for Israel?
Someone who's Gen Z?
No, anybody in the podcast space.
Dennis Prager is
like Ben Shapiro's an obvious one,
I gotta point out this little bit. I don't know. I gotta say, going through this kind of made me feel good.
I think that's fair.
Because if we're at a point where like Tim Pool's kind of taking this route, I feel like it's a good. Tim Pool, while whatever you guys want to say, I know my audience does not care for him. He's a very good lick your finger, put it in the wind, and kind of be like, what's kind of a good bellwether? Like, what's going on here? Like, I feel like it's a good way to kind of gauge where things are at. And if giving this, I don't know, making me feel good. I mean, obviously, it's not good for the Gazans right now, and in some extent, I think. Well, he did express earlier that he felt like Netanyahu didn't seem to get it. I think to some extent they do get it, and I think that's part of why they're going so fucking hard. Because I think it's just they realize, like, hey, I think they've kind of played this game for a long time where they kind of needle back and forth, kind of playing this like a lukewarm kind of like, oh, well, we won't go like full on ethnic cleansing, but like maybe we'll kind of slowly, I know the idea, hoping maybe we can kind of slowly, I don't know, just kind of ignore the problem, or maybe they'll kind of go away. Man, I completely forgot I had a fucking point there. I zoned out. Oh, point being is that the idea that like I think they realize that like now they just committed. I think the idea is to just that they're just ready to full on commit and just say that that's what it feels like, at least. I kind of hope that's not the case. I hope that something falters, something within this Leviathan, something gums up the works and something stops it. But it's not looking hopeful at this point. But I guess at the very least, I guess we can take our consolation that it looks like, I'd say probably 10 years from now, I think Tim Pool was probably correct. If things keep moving this way, especially if they keep going so hard, I think we're going to be looking at dramatically different. And as I was kind of getting at earlier, this is kind of what I was getting at with the idea of like evoking the idea of remembering the Nakba soldiers recounting their experiences, like the IDF, or not the IDF, they weren't the IDF at the time. It's just that we're going to have a similar thing where now people now watch those and go, oh my God, that's crazy. How did anyone ever let this happen? Oh, it was a different time. And that's going to be what this is too. So yeah, just it's already like we're at a point where you can just tell public opinion. It's just the matter that public opinion, it's a great example of how public opinion doesn't, the idea that when we talk about the government and we refer to it as a public entity or the goods within it that are public, and it imbues this idea that like it is yours. We're in charge here. Like the people, obviously we're a constitutional republic, so the idea is like it's the will of the people through the delegated people, blah blah blah. But even then, it's still like there's such a disconnect between what the people are saying and between what is happening in the halls of power, that I don't think I could really demonstrate anything more than like, hey, you're not in charge here. Like this is another entity. At a certain point, I guess, in a certain way, we drive it, but it's an incredibly lagging indicator, and you have to like essentially overwhelm the system with no, we're not okay with that before it reacts if it's something they like. So yes, I do think in like 10 years of time or so, we will be looking at a vastly different relationship with Israel. But in the meantime, it's not looking so great. So here we go. Jewish Insider shared this partial list of everyone who took part in the meeting. And so here's Chris Manahan said it reached out to everyone in this meeting for comment. Interestingly, Tim Pool is the only one disclosing on X that the meeting even took place, so I don't really know what to make of that, but hey, that's interesting for now. It says among those in attendance were podcasters including Dave Rubin, Tim Pool, former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, writers Bethany Mandel and David J. Harris Jr., influencer Jessica Krause, commentary senior editor Seth Mandel, and Federalist editor-in-chief Molly Hemingway. So let's be real. I don't know a lot of those names. So like Bethany Mandel, David J. Harris. Well, the David J. Harris, isn't that no, I don't know. I was thinking of somebody else. I don't know who that is. I don't know who Jessica Krause, the Seth Mandel, or the Molly Hemingway sounds familiar. I've heard of the Federalist. So but I'm pretty sure, if I recall, the Federalist is kind of an establishment rag, obviously with the name. But Dave Rubin, obviously, Sean Spicer. Let's be real. So this is kind of what I was getting at when I was talking about of these people. If there was anyone in there that would have it to say anything worth a damn, I think it would be Pool. Dave Rubin's too busy hanging out under the table with Netanyahu. Yeah, so he's gone full on shill. So that's definitely not happening. But yeah, all the other ones, everyone else is probably completely in the bag. I don't know this Jessica Krause chick, so I can't really say her there. But yeah. In addition to Netanyahu, his diplomatic advisor Ophir Falk and Israeli ambassador to the U.S. Yechiel Letier were present on the Israeli side. Pool expressed concerns about increased anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism in the pro-Trump podcasting space. According to sources in the room, Pool famously had Kanye West on his podcast, and the rapper walked out mid-interview after Pool pushed back against anti-Semitic comments. Responding to Pool, Netanyahu said this is the reason he invited the group to meet with him. Poole argued that there was a Qatari op, in quotes, to manipulate social media algorithms to make anti-Semitic and anti-Israel episodes appear to receive far more views than, say, tips for picking up women in order to incentivize podcasters and YouTubers to produce more anti-Semitic content. Netanyahu, however, was non-committal in his response, saying only that it's possible. So obviously that's all information we covered over again, but I just felt I wanted to read it over again because it is kind of the thing that this is the little tidbit that I saw splashed out all over the place. So whoever produced this line of script, I'm not sure if this came from an article or where this one came from, but this is the one that got pushed around. So this is, I believe, the original wording. So I think that's why it kind of matters, especially in regards to who said what. But yeah. Then we say the Bilderberg Group, by the way, also operates on the Chatham House rule. I think I mentioned that earlier, but it's worthwhile mentioning again. They say it's to encourage candid debate while maintaining privacy. And you can see here they took an excerpt from the Bilderberg, from the Wikipedia, and it says right here, attendees are entitled to use information gained at meetings, but not attribute it to a named speaker, known as the Chatham House rule. The group states that the purpose of this is to encourage candid debate while at the same time maintaining privacy. But critics from a wide range of viewpoints have called into question and has provoked conspiracy theories from the left and the right. And then we hear, last night, so it's been nearly 12 hours since the story broke, and Tim Poole and David J. Harris are the only two named influencers out of 8 to acknowledge taking part in this private meeting with Netanyahu. All the others are staying mum. So, okay. All right, so now we have 2 people, so we'll see if more come later, if they have to say anything of significance. I don't know what else was said here. I don't know. We'll find out. I don't really know who leaked things, and it seems like these are all people in the bag, so I don't really know what will be people are leaking things about Tim Poole here, so I don't really know what the angle was there. You almost you feel like, oh, this is one of us. But then, I don't know if that was the angle. I don't know what the angle is, because, I struggle to believe there's actually someone that's one of us that was hanging out there. So, I don't know. I don't know what the angle was for the leak here, but so maybe we have one of these people is secretly one of us and being cool. I don't fucking know. But point being is, I guess the reason why I was getting at, the character of whoever leaked it is kind of to implication of is there anything else worthwhile in this meeting that we should be understanding here? Would this guy have said that? If so, I don't know. I'm not sure. So you would think if he is he's just trying to get truth out there and do real journalism, that this is an indication that's really the worst things that were really said there. So, or the most interesting things that were said here, and maybe it was some sort of boring meeting. Either way, the idea though that these influencers are having these secret meetings with fucking Netanyahu. I guess in a certain sense, to kind of, push back a little bit of my initial disgust, I can somewhat understand where a Tim Poole or somebody coming from, and that hey, I may as well take advantage of this. At the same time, though, I don't know. It just feels gross. We can't talk about it. And the secret meeting with fucking Netanyahu. I don't know. It just feels weird. I don't like it. Well, that's the end of that, though. Let me know what you guys think about it in the chat. I'm about to take a second and scroll through the chat, and maybe, what do we want to go through today? I don't know if we're going to have, I took a lot longer than I thought with all this. So, someone says, what is this damage control for Tim Poole and after partying with Clinton Russell? Nah, brah, nah. I don't know if I'd say damage control. I'm still saying he's a cuck. He's a Zio cuck. I don't know why you would interpret this as damage control, but okay. By the way, I think you're probably the same guy that I saw bitching elsewhere about partnering with Clinton Russell. I don't know if you don't know who I am or what I've done for a long time. I've done a podcast regularly with Clint's for something like 5 years now or something insane. We've done Tower Gang every Wednesday, which is today at 9/11 Eastern. Welcome to pop over there if you want to hang out. I would assume it's probably not your cup of tea. It's a offensive comedy show, but yeah, we've done it for a while, and we've been talking about for as long as you can remember about kind of slowly building up more of a network. We've basically from the jump, we all started podcasting around the same time. Me, Top Lobster, Clint Russell, Toad and Cole kind of joined. Only really do the Tower Gang podcast, but yeah, we all had our own separate stuff they were doing, and then we kind of came together. I don't know what to tell you. We've kind of always been clicked up, so we're just kind of more formalizing it as things go on. But okay, if you see this as damage control for Tim Poole, I don't know what to tell you. If anything, it's actually a lot of people would say this is probably the opposite, that like, if anything, I burned a bridge here, if anyone actually gave a shit. So I don't think anyone gave a shit and is going to check this, but like, yeah, I mean, there's just as much an argument that I burned a bridge for possible exposure for this show, which I don't care, as I mentioned earlier. But all right, let's keep moving. Yeah, I mean, I will say though, like as I was saying, I'm not making the case this guy's great. I could, if you're complaining that I'm running damage control, if anything, it shows that I think you may not be able to think outside the box. I couldn't be any clearer that like I think he is kind of cucked for Israel. But it is like, I don't know, let's be real. Of the group of people here, he's one that like, oh, maybe we get some interesting stuff. But I think that's the extent of the interesting we're going to get out of here is kind of my implication. I don't think we're getting anything more out of this. I don't think there was, I mean, it seems like, I would assume, since this is all that came out, that's probably all that was interesting that was said at the meeting. Who knows? Maybe they had their super secret Zionist plans. But either way, it feels like an introductory meeting to kind of build rapport, which, I don't know. There's a lot of implications. Old BB was a prior Fed, of ours, CIA or FBI. So yeah, because for those who don't know where, he's an American citizen. He's a dual citizen. So he almost certainly was an intel agent. This would be totally, it would make sense to me that this would be an intel move. You would have introductory meetings, you'd build rapport. You don't jump out the gate and go, hey, I want X, Y, and Z. So, I mean, obviously this assumes that Tim isn't all the way already there. I don't know if that is the case. Maybe he is. Someone says, even if Tim isn't Fed support, he's a definition of a useful idiot and should be ridiculed. I agree with that. Yeah. So, so people, if people think Tim Pool is just organically navigating the Zionist topic without being fed, or fed, pun intended, narratives. Oh, I think they're saying literally a fed. Without being fed narratives, then I can't help you. Yeah, I do think he's probably being fed narratives. I mean, I guess it depends on what you mean by that, I guess. I don't know. And I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know. And I haven't seen anything that's the case. And now I'm just kind of thinking outside the box. I could totally see this. I just also wouldn't be surprised either. I don't like to claim things I don't fucking know. So, I mean, once I see something that's substantial, like, for example, back when I used to be involved in Libertarian Party stuff, I would bring up, what's his face's, like a WikiLeaks thing that dropped that, like, had him on some sort of, like, mailing list for the feds. I don't even remember his name. Isn't that wild? Like, for those who used to be involved in that, like, I don't even remember this guy's name that we're talking about. And he used to be, like, the former chair and a big deal. But, all right, let's keep going on. Let's scroll through the chat, see what you guys would say. Tim Pool's so cringe. Yeah. The entire plan is to create anti-Semitism and push the narrative to the normies. Pool is just a conduit for that. They are trying to recreate World War II to get the Jews back to Israel. Yeah, I wouldn't be least surprised. I mean, whether that's intentional or not, that definitely seems to be... I mean, that's been the plan from the jump. You look at the original Zionist documents, they're referring to anti-Semitism and how it's essentially like a dialectical tool. It's the opposite to them, that they wouldn't exist without anti-Semitism. Like, literally, they have to create anti-Semitism. And, like, the more anti-Semitism there is in like, their original documents, the more justification there is for a Jewish state. Like, hell, we had the King David Hotel that got blown up, and I'm pretty sure that was literally basically, I forget if that was a retaliatory action against Britain, because there was a lot of terrorist attacks. I think that one was one of the ones. There definitely were false flags that were intended to scare the Jews. So I forget which ones. I forget if it was the King David, that was one of them or not. But either way, the King David is the most notable one that people bring up a lot. But either way, they were definitely trying to scare people. I mean, obviously, there's the famous, what was it, the Irgun? I think it was the Irgun. They were meeting up with the Nazis. It was either Irgun or Stern Gang, but I'm pretty sure it was Irgun. So yeah, I mean, there's all those different stuff. You know, Sam Tripoli talks about that a lot. So yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of been the thing from the beginning. Now, whether Tim Pool is he's just a conduit. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a conduit. Now, the action is like whether that's intentional or not. Sure, yeah. I'm scrolling through the chat. So, saying he's just playing the role of confused normie, trying to figure out this difficult topic. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he probably. I'm gonna uproar. Let's keep going. So there was this Israeli messaging thing that pre-warned certain people who all had something in common. The owner, Larry Silverstein, also took out terrorist insurance, and the building was like condemned and needed millions of dollars. Asbestos needed removed. The first responders breathed that in environmental protection it said it was safe, but it wasn't. Most people got cancer. Okay, I didn't remember about the. I didn't remember the asbestos thing, but yeah, I do remember Larry Silverstein, the Lucky Larry, I think they call him, because it's like what he had just taken out the fucking insurance thing, and then they decided to hit 9/11 or whatever. So, all right, let's keep scrolling through the chat. All right, let's keep going. This whole thing, including the leak, is very likely an op. Perhaps I've definitely had that thought cross my head. Perhaps it is an op, and that's why I was like kind of giving the little side thing of like I don't know whoever leaked this. It's like I can't really, because I was kind of getting at like what else was said in this conversation, and it's like the only thing we really have to indicate that is we have Tim Pool talking, and then the leak, and then I guess there was some other person who said something. So it's like obviously the leak would be probably the best one to look at, and it's like is that like a where are they coming from? It's hard to say. They very well, like you said, it could be an op. So then it's like, that could be something that like, who knows? Maybe there were crazy things talked about, and this could be like that way we were focused in on like, oh, look, they like, oh no, they kind of, as I pointed out, the good things that were said here are like, as I've been very clear throughout, super weak good things. It's not like he's saying anything that's like really making fucking Netanyahu's butthole tighten up. Like, no, that's far be it from the case. It's stuff that's like, if anything, that's stuff that are people that are still kind of normies might be like, huh, never thought of it that way. Like moving them slightly along the way when they're like way far back. So, but yeah. So anyways, yeah, it could be very well a leak. I don't fucking know. It's hard to tell. So doubt they're meeting with BB, but lower level. I don't know what you're talking about there. All right, keep going. Scrolling through the chat. Someone saying, please follow my channel. No, I will not. Sorry, not trying to be a dick. So let me see. Yeah, he says, I see what it is. When I see content creators linking up with higher up people who are shady, I have to ask questions. That's all, nothing personal. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it when shady things. And like, obviously, if you watch my episode with Clint, I give him shit about that all the time. That's been a running joke from the jump that he's a Fed. And like, I've even told him, like, I don't know, if you end up being a Fed, I wouldn't be slightly surprised. But like, I don't know, if you look at the dynamic of our shows and then like Tower Gang and stuff, it's like, I don't know. The way things work, it's not like Clint's telling me what to do. And if anything, I'm usually the one that's like in his ear that like, yo, dude, like, because he's more of like a generalist when it comes to stuff. Like that's, for anyone who's followed his stuff, he's a generalist. He's going to kind of cover more broad topics as opposed to, so like, if anything, I'm usually the one that's like, dude, you need to check this out. Like, and, oh no, don't trust that side, trust this. Because he's usually, depending on what the thing is, there's a lot of things he's gone way more in the weeds of than me. But there's a lot of things, if anything, I'm the one like, yo, dude. Like, so I don't know. I get what you're saying. And I trust me, I completely get like what people are saying, but it's like, hey, I don't know. To some extent, though, like we got to grow. I don't know what to tell you. Like the show is going to grow, and then at some point, like as shows grow, everyone's going to look at. I mean, then the microscope becomes more on you. Then it becomes like, hell, I don't know how many people I've had like already. They're like, and to be fair, I guess I kind of lean into it and have fun with it, and I don't really care. But I've had plenty of people who are like. I guess not plenty. I've had people, I guess, I've seen people that, even between Austin and me, be like, oh, these guys are feds or this or that. And you're like, I don't know. It just, people are going to grow. And then a lot of people are going to have their impressions of things as they grow. And to some extent, you have to network. And there are going to be people out there that people aren't going to like. Now, I will say, if you have an issue with me being friends with Clint, I'm sorry. You're going to have to get the fuck over it. He is a buddy. We've been friends for a long time. So I don't know. It is what it is. So, and I don't really get anything from Clint. So it's like, he's just another person kind of in this network. If anything, Top Lobster would be the one that's kind of like if you're looking at like the hierarchy of this network, it would be more like Top Lobster. He's the Luis Gomez of this operation, basically. Clint's just another one of the other guys along for the ride. He's just kind of our big star since he's kind of got the biggest profile. So, but all right, let's keep going through the chat. Someone said Nick Sarwalk. Yeah, that's who I was talking about earlier. I couldn't even think of his name. So, yeah, also not everyone is a Fed, and thinking everyone is a Fed is retarded. Exactly. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people I'm like, that guy's probably a fucking Fed. But it's like, I don't know. I need something to go off of first, other than just implications. And yeah, there are certain people where you get enough where you're like, okay. But I don't know. I mean, there's also just normies in the world. So there's a lot of fucking normies. And I find myself sometimes being in that same space, and then you talk to a normie and you're like, oh shit, no, you guys literally believe this shit. Like, oh fuck. So, and it is, I don't know. So, but let's keep going. Top loves to Steinberg. Yeah, for sure. You can be friends with Clint, but we will keep calling him gay. Yeah, that's completely fair. I want you guys to keep doing that. Like, whatever obviously I would say, like, I don't know, maybe don't be cunts. I will say, like, I don't know, maybe be like normal human beings and don't be assholes, but like, I don't know, you can have fun with it. I don't care if you like, it's not that big of a deal. I am not going to go around in any sort of, comments or anything. I'll address it here since you guys are asking in the chat, but I don't think you'll ever see me, I guess, like, white knighting for Clint for some fucking, I don't know, 100 follower thing. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I could see myself arguing against some other influencers if they're giving my buddy fake accusations or something crazy. But point being is I'm not going to be in the live chats or whatever freaking the fuck out. But yeah, if you're asking me about them in the questions in here, then yeah. So, all right, guys. Oh, man, I don't know how we spent a long time on that shit. So I don't think we're going to hit everything on the title today like I wanted. But, man, they just need to chill out with war stuff because I'm not getting to get into as much as the cool, glowy stuff as I would have liked to. So can we please stop with war? Let's do that. What do you guys want? You guys want Sandy Hook or OKC? You guys let me know. Sandy Hook will be biting off. I'll just going to let you know. Sandy Hook's probably about like I'd say at least a 20-minute bite off, whereas the OKC is probably more like a 10 to 15. So you guys let me know. So yeah, what you guys want. So yeah, Clint has Nefo blood for show, but he has some solid takes here and there. Yeah, I like Clint. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people give him shit. That is, you gotta think too. He's also serving a different audience. So like, I think he's not like curtails his message for different guys. Like I said, he's more towards the normie audience. Like he is. Like, if you're working along the line of, like, who you people you catch, like, it's embarrassing to say, but there was a period in time where I watched the Rubin Report, and where I watched Ben Shapiro, but just like I moved along slowly. I never really got into IRL. I don't really understand the appeal of it, to be honest. I mean, so, yeah, it's kind of boring. Honestly, it's kind of boring to do as well. Yeah, but, so I don't really get it, but a lot of the other shows I do. So I mean, I never really understood the appeal of IRL. I mean, it's great, for like, I guess, for exposure to some extent, even though I'm not that great. But I forget where I was going with that. I had a fucking reason. Anyways, yeah, I don't know. Damn, I'm getting spacey. All right, let's do Sandy Hook. We can come back to OKC. Let's go to Sandy Hook. Do a little censorship test here. We'll see if this is no longer up. You'll know why. So here's my buddy John Glebold. What I believe actually happened at Sandy Hook. It seems like a good way to kind of finish off. It says I've had threads on how the timeline is impossible and the official timeline, but I suppose I've never actually stated what I believe happened that day. So here goes nothing. After whoever shot Nancy Lanza 4 times in the face, they left 36 Uganda Street and went to the back of the school. A chain was cut and placed back to conceal their entry. A black glove pouch that resembled law enforcement's was found. A gunman was dropped off. Now, to support this, he shows a document here from State of Connecticut, Department of Public Safety. It says, while still on the wood line, a vehicle, Connecticut registration, 04012, was seen driving down Crestwood Road. The trooper, an officer Williams, stopped the vehicle. It was operated by 412, whatever. It was. I'm not going to keep reading the numbers because that's annoying. It stated that he had 2 children in the building, and he was looking. Actually, they're not numbers. I'm retarded. The first one said the registration, so I assumed it was, and then I realized, like, oh, never mind. I don't know. I'm assuming that means some sort of like reference to something else in some sort of document. Either way, this is obviously redactions. I'm retarded. I shouldn't be reading the numbers like an idiot. I'm pulling a Biden right now and reading the fucking punctuation essentially. So anyways, these are redactions there. So Connecticut registration redacted, was seen driving down Crestwood Road. The trooper and officer Williams stopped the vehicle. It was operated by redacted. Redacted stated that he had 2 children in the building and was looking for a way to locate them. He stated he was unable to get to the firehouse and was trying to find a different way around. A second vehicle, Connecticut registration, redacted, was stopped in Crestwood. The vehicle was operated by redacted. The front seat passenger was redacted. They stated that they had a child at SHES and could not get to the firehouse and were looking for a different way around. This trooper and Officer Williams assumed a security post between number 5 and number 8 Crestwood Drive. Got a little lispy there. At the area of the rear gate to the playground at SHES. The gate had a lock and a chain that was cut with a chain reattached to the gate. The cut link was found the ground near the gate. Also on the ground was a black pouch that resembled a glove pouch issued to law enforcement personnel. At 14:23 hours, for those who don't understand military time, that's 2:23 p.m., this trooper and Officer Williams were reserved of our security post by Newton PD Officer Smith, number 92, and Seabrook, number 95. They were made aware of the cut chain in the pouch on the ground. It was explained to them that the cut chain looked suspicious and no one could account for the black pouch on the ground. This trooper located Sergeant Thomas, number 129, CDMC supervisor, and was directed to respond to the EOC established at the Fairfield Hills property in Newtown. At or about 14:45 hours, this trooper left the scene SHES and responded to the EOC. This case remains open. By the way, for those who don't know, I don't know why I felt the need to mention it. I'm surprised. It astounds me how few people know this, because it's really, really simple. Military time is just a 24-hour clock. That's all it is. So if you're in PM, just subtract 12. That's all it is. So 1300 is 1 o'clock. That's it. Easy peasy. All right. I'm just letting you. I'm just doing you guys a good service out here, because I mean, this does come up in documents and stuff. But yeah. This is also supported by the fact when the shooting officially started just minutes before a parent signed out. The shooting officially started just minutes before a student signed out. The shooting started before. Saw no funny business, which is impossible unless there's no Honda out there. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. So the shooting started minutes before a parent signed out. So the official is that they started at a certain time. Then minutes later, one of the parents signed out. I know I read that multiple times, but I just want to make that very clear. And they didn't say anything. So, I mean, we can see here, we see timeout 9:32, West Taylor, 12:18. I don't know if it's West Taylor, something Taylor. It says time in 9:31, timeout 9:32. I mean, I will say, anyone who's like gone to like drop their kids off at school or pick them up, done the sign in, sign out, or the visitors, I guess the visitors sign in, sign out, and I don't know. I bullshit the numbers all the time. So, I mean, I would say but there was some before that said 9:30 exact. So, I don't know. I mean, I guess people could have rounded up. That would be my only pushback on that one. But that is interesting. Because, yeah, I bullshit. Anytime I feel some sort of like, no, I mean, who really looks at it and gives like an exact clock time? They give like a close. So, yeah, I don't know. Weird. Odd to think of. We can see here. Here's a investigation report document, a telephone interview. This is date and time on January 17th, 2013, from 12:30 to 12:40. Said on 2 January, I was assigned to make contact with redacted. A name was listed on the visitor's sign-in out sheet for Sandy Hook Elementary for the date of 12/14/2012, the day of the shooting incident. According to the visitor's log, redacted signed in at 9:31 hours and signed out at 9:32 hours. Refer to attached visitor's log. At January 7th, 2013, at approximately 12:30, I interviewed Redacted via the telephone. Redacted verbally stated to me that on 12/14/12, she went to Sandy Hook Elementary School to drop off a letter Redacted had forgotten at home. The letter was addressed to Redacted, and it was to apologize for cheating on a test. Redacted stated that when she pulled into the parking lot, she did not notice anything unusual. She stated that there were no passing cars when she was coming in or out. She went to sign to the office at 9:31 a.m. She stated there were a couple of parents walking around because there was a gingerbread house building activity going on inside the school, and the parents were there to help out and participate. Redacted stated that after signing in, she went to room Redacted, which was just past the office in the library. She dropped off the letter to Redacted to give to the teacher, and she went back to the office and signed out at 9:32 a.m. Redacted stated that she left the parking lot at approximately 9:34 a.m. I asked Redacted if there was anything that struck her as odd or gave her a strange feeling, and she said, yes, there was. Redacted stated there was an older man, approximately 60 to 65 years old, dressed in dark clothing with his hands in his pockets. He was walking in and shuffling. And that's the end of that document. The next one, maybe it wasn't a gunman. Maybe it was someone who was aware of the shooting about to happen, like the man in the woods who was dropped off at the rear. Salon in the Newton B said it was an off-duty tactical officer with a gun, which begs the question of how the fuck. So here's an excerpt that Tim Tuttle, the homie, brought up. It says, maybe there was another man in the woods. Maybe. Eyewitnesses saw a second man in the woods wearing camouflage pants and a dark jacket and said that he may have been armed. Must be a second shooter. Answer. Actually, he was, according to the Newton Bee, an off-duty tactical squad police officer from another town who heard the gunfire. Okay, so there was some dude in the woods with camouflage pants, a dark jacket, and that was armed. And the answer they gave us was, oh, no, that was just some cop chilling in the woods that was nearby, I guess. Which I guess, sure, maybe it's possible, but I don't know. Camouflage jacket, pants and dark jacket are weird. Although I have camouflage sweatpants, and then I have a camouflage T-shirt. I don't know. I guess it really depends. What was the style in 2013? I don't know. I don't really feel like that was that big. All right. That'll be important later. So someone dropped off around the back, gets into school, gains entry. They take off. Yes, they were working. We are working with 2 people at the front and 1 already in school. Their jackets. Load up and blow out the window. These 2 would not include Al. So he just shows some pictures here of just, I guess, crime scene stuff. School exterior, Sandy Hook evidence. You see a what looks like a casing, I think. I can't tell if it still has the bullet inside of it. Because Adam Lanza never stepped on any glass, he said. I don't know the relevance. So you see his boot. I guess I don't know what the significance of that is. Oops, shit. What the fuck? Why does it do this to me? All right, now we see here he shared an excerpt from something saying black-colored nunbush, brand right sneaker 8.5. There were numerous blood-like stains consistent with impact splatter located on the medial side portion of the sneaker, with very few impact spatter stains located on the lateral side portion of the sneaker. The impact spatter stains were measured to be less than 1 millimeter width, consistent with spatter caused from a high-velocity event such as a gunshot. Swabbing of a blood-like stain located on the right sneaker was tested using phenethyl. I don't even try to say that fucking word. That's a word. Which is a blood presumptive test, which yielded a positive result. Black colored, sneaker, his left sneaker. There were numerous stains, few impact stains. I'm trying to see what the significance here is. I think I'm missing what you're putting down here, bud. I'm assuming you'll watch this later, Tim. But I'm missing the significance here. I feel like you've explained it to me before, but I guess you're implying there's nothing to show that he stepped on glass here. I don't know what that has to do with anything. I think it has something to do with the window that got blown out. All right, let's keep going. Hawksprung and Sherlock come running out and are immediately offed upon opening the door to room 9. Hammond catches a bullet to the leg, and the teacher in room 1, all the way to the end of the hallway, catches a stray to the foot. This was done by a man in a mask, which I remember when I covered, which for those who are unaware, this guy I'm covering right now, Tim Tuttle, who's actually my video guy too, does a lot of video edits and stuff for me. I had him on the show a long time ago, and we did a whole series on it. That's only on Rumble because, obviously censorship. And I just assumed if I did a fucking, 5+ hours on Sandy Hook, that would probably get nuked off of YouTube. And so that's why I never bothered even trying to put it on YouTube. So it's on Rumble. If you want to go look for it, Sandy Hook, you probably can just search it in my channel. You can find it. And he was the guest. But I vaguely recall that being the thing too, is that there were claims of people in masks and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and read this. This is another investigation report document. So it says, she stated that as she exited the room, she heard gunshots, and then she saw Hawksprung and Sherlock fall down in front of her. She stated that she felt a gunshot hit her leg and felt a burning/warming feeling in her lower leg. She described the gunman as a male, 5'8" to 5'11", wearing a dark hat and mask. Hammond stated that once she was shot, she fell down and laid still in the hallway. She stated that she remained on the floor for approximately 10 seconds and then looked down the hall toward the main office. She stated that she didn't see the gunman in the hall, so she crawled back into room number 9 and held the door closed. Hammond stated that she heard hundreds of rounds. She estimated that they were in 10 to 15 round bursts, and that she could hear what she believed to be the gunman reloading. She estimated that she heard 7 to 8 breaks in the shooting, which she believed to be when the gunman was reloading. Hammond later provided a written statement by Detective Keeley. At approximately 11:26, I seized Hammond's shoes and socks, which had a bullet hole in the top of the toes on the left shoe. While this is happening, Mrs. Roig sees Miss Russo panicking, trying to find her emergency keys. They are not there. We see lawyer, classroom keys were missing on day of Sandy Hook massacre, which is, I know this is an interesting little tidbit, it was weird that there were missing keys so that access to the school, essentially. Here we go. A lawyer for the parents of 2 children killed in the 2012 Newton Town or school massacre say emergency folders kept in 2 classrooms where victims were slain did not contain keys that it could have been used to lock the room's doors. So I guess the idea is that they weren't able to lock them. So they were removed or they were lost or something along those lines. I guess you could obviously, attribute that to some sort of security failure, but I think there may be more to that. Now we know what happens next. For some reason, 9 kids were able to flee Miss Soto's classroom while everyone but one sole survivor walked out of Miss Russo's class. Responding officers shoot the gunman dead, blowing the back of his head off. We have a document that shows at 11:39 a.m. Redacted. And then male walked into an elementary school and shot kids and faculty member. Male was fatally wounded by police on scene. Now he goes, there are some anomalous bullet fragments from the 10 millimeter in room 10. Remember, officially, he only fired it once. I believe the school was either some sort of witness security program or the gunmen were looking for a single target. Fire off some rounds to get them talk? Wouldn't? Is what he's getting at. So, all right, let me see some photos here of the crime scene. You can see here, like example, he's saying that the brass kind of, this is backing up his stuff about the rounds that were odd. So you see 7 brass case 5.56 casings and 1 10 millimeter casing with extra envelope with copper jackets and lead-like fragments. And this was in classroom 10. Then we have what looks like, I guess, a bullet hole through a window thingy or whatever. Why can't I think of the word for those? Shades, I guess. Yeah. Here's another. So that this is the 1 10 millimeter that they found, which is odd. I mean, obviously, I think the implication here is there might have been more than one shooter too. So, because the idea of the different ones. So there were live shotgun shells found in the school. So now we have 5.56. We have a 10 millimeter, and we have a Saiga. Now we do have the 2 cops that were shooting as well. So I guess that would make sense. But it is weird. There's only the 1 10 millimeter. There were live shotgun shells found in the school, and the Saiga 12 gauge was illegal and had a victim's DNA on it. Was left on the passenger side of the door that could have ambushed responding officers. Okay, so it was like, okay. Did you notice that the shotgun shell was in room 4? That would be way further down the hallway, as can be seen here. So I guess let's look down this. I think we were at room 10 before, if I recall correctly. So room 10 would have been, where the fuck is 10? I can't see 10 on this diagram. They're saying it was on the other side of the hall. I'm not seeing 10 at all. So, or we have 9 here. Room 4. Remember, they're circling 4 or 9 right now. We're going from 9 to 4. So we have 9 here. 4 is it's like a few rooms down. 4. I think that's 4 right there. I believe, correct? Right? Or am I looking at the wrong spot? No, that's 4. Yeah, at the end of the hallway. Okay. So yeah, I don't know how long that is. How big the school is. There's a giant ass courtyard here. So I don't know. Probably sizable ways away. So okay. So the shotgun was found a decent ways away from the other room. So that's kind of odd. So gunmen loaded it, walking past room 4, ejecting alive. She just like Adam. I think that's obviously typo there. Shotgun man enters room 8 while Adam enters room 10. Adam in quotes. Adam Lanza. So remember the man in the woods. In the chaos of the shooting, he puts a bullet in the back of Adam's head. Look at the holes. Those are not entrance holes. What holes are we looking at here? I don't even know what we're looking at, to be honest. Sorry about that. Either the man in the woods shot Adams or responding law enforcement. Pretty good reason to redact entire dash cam footage, right? Shotgun man is either the man in the woods or is the additional gunman killed on scene with blonde, wispy hair. So we see this document here. It says, as I was nearing the school, I noticed a state police sergeant, later identified as William Carrio, carry the body of a young boy out of the school and place the body on the ground. He was asking where the ambulances were. The boy, redacted. Sergeant Carrio asked if anyone had a vehicle. I told him to put the child into my Ford Explorer, which was still parked at the front of the school. I opened the tailgate, and Sergeant Carrio put the child in the back and hopped in with him. I drove them to the back of Sandy Hook Firehouse again, where a second ambulance was arriving. It was my impression that the ambulance workers had no idea what was going on. One of them asked what we had. I told her that I had a child with redacted. She asked me if we need more ambulances. I told her yes, and went to the back of my car and saw the child laying there. I was not sure where Sergeant Carrio was at the time. I believe that he was getting the attention of an ambulance. I saw the little boy had redacted. I talked to the boy, telling him that he would be all right. When I talked, he appeared to move slightly as if he was drawing in air. Someone came and took the boy away. I'm not sure who. I drove back to school with Sergeant Cario. I re-entered the school from the front door with Sergeant Cario, and we walked down the front corridor of the school, checking the front classrooms. In one classroom, I noticed a young male laying on his right side in a fetal position. His body was about 3 feet in from the door to the left. Someone yelled out that he was the suspected shooter. It appeared that he had his hands cuffed behind his back. Okay, so this is where the significance is. Obviously, we're implying this is some sort of shooter. I noticed a large pool of blood spreading from the right side of the suspect's head. I asked who had shot him, as I did not remember hearing any shots since my initial arrival at the school. Someone behind me stated that he had shot himself. The suspect had long, blondish, wispy hair and a very straight and pronounced jawline, which I guess that does kind of describe Lanza. I don't know if I'd say it was blonde, but maybe dirty blonde. The left side of his face did not appear to have any injuries. He appeared to be about 19 years of age, but he seemed very small. Once again, comports to Lanza. He appeared to have the body size of a 12-year-old. He did. He was something like 100 pounds, which is one of the big weird things about this. Like, how did he pull this off? Like, the idea that he would even be athletic enough to essentially be competent enough to pull this off is kind of wild, especially when you look at all the gear he was supposedly carrying. To the best of my recollection, the male was wearing a T-shirt and a green tactical vest. I believe he had green or black pants on. He was wearing a plastic thigh holster on his left leg. The holster appeared to have an automatic handgun in it. I don't know how you would know it was automatic by looking at it. I noticed a black Glock automatic pistol about 1 foot away from the suspect's head. It was my belief at the time that he shot himself with this weapon. Inside the same room as the suspect, approximately 10 feet away from him, was an assault weapon lying on the ground. It did not appear to have a magazine in it. To the best of my recollection, there were only 4 bodies in the room with the suspect. All right, driver freaks out and flees. So now we also have there was a possible purple van that occupied 2 people with masks and none outfit heading down Stony Hill, possibly involved in the incident per Danbury Police Department. So this is a thing that also happened at the same time. There was a purple van with 2 people with a mask and a nun outfit. Now this was per Danbury PD, so I don't know if we can get more in the weeds on where that specific claim came from. God damn it backed me back up again. 1 second. So we'll get back there. All right. So yeah, no more on that. But that is one thing I remember from our series on as well, which is like, holy shit. The man in the woods was from New York, and there was a New York felon's DNA on the 22 Savage, which is all right. Holy shit! What the fuck? All right, let's read this. The supplemental DNA report conclusions continued. The results eliminate Nancy Lanza and Adam Lanza as the source of the DNA profiles from items blah 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 blah. All right, I'm just going to skim through this because, this is very scientific jargon that I don't think any of you guys really give a shit about. Let's go to the last one. So the DNA profiles from items blah, 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 blah were searched against the Connecticut and national DNA databases. On January 7th, 2013, a hit was obtained with the convicted offender DNA profile from New York State Police Investigation Center database, blah, 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 blah. None of you cares about the number. No matching profiles were found for item blah. If another is okay, so we have there was a DNA match on the blood from a convicted offender from New York there. So was there another person who got shot there, like one of the adults who was convicted for a crime in New York? I don't know, but we do know, I guess, apparently that the man in the woods was from New York. So here we say another excerpt says a man from New York was working in a nearby town and went to SHES after an application on his cell telephone alerted him to the situation at the school. He drove to the firehouse and went up to the school on foot. He was taken from the scene of the school in handcuffs and later the Newton Police Department. It was later determined that he did not have a connection to the shooting and had gone to SHES to see what was going on. All right. Sure would be nice if we could talk to him. And so now he's showing, I don't know what we're showing here. I don't know what I'm supposed to... maybe one of you schizos can understand. We see a picture here. I don't know what this is. More pictures circling stuff that I don't get. These are what you get when you're trying to follow your schizo friends' lines of thinking. Then he has the last thing. Well, actually, not the last thing. The second to the last. We'll look at the other photo before we go to the other one. We have then there's a photo of a police cruiser for some reason. I'm not picking up what he's putting down here. Maybe this will explain it. This little document that came along with all these too. Here's another investigation report document. So it's on December 21st, 2012, at approximately 1600 hours. It was assigned by Major Michael Darcy, Office of Field Operations, to coordinate with Mark Libby, RN, EMT/P, Senior Regional Emergency Coordinator, Region 1, U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, in coordinating obtaining cell phones from the providers of cell phones in the incidents by teachers Redacted and Caitlin Roig, which that was one of the people who ended up being involved. I think since it's December 21st, this is before the shooting that this document we're looking at right now. And it's they're trying to obtain cell phones. All right, I was able to determine that Redacted carrier was Verizon for Redacted, and Miss Roig's carrier was, I can't tell what it says there because there's a little arrow there, for Redacted. Both had been deactivated. I contacted Apple Security and was able to reach a representative to document Apple case Redacted. I was able to speak with Redacted and assure him the efforts by Apple to provide her with a new phone. I was unable to get in touch with Miss Roig after leaving a message at her phone. December 21st, 2012, I completed my on-scene duties. On December 31st, 2012, final email contact was made with Apple Security. Email correspondence is submitted with a supplemental. No further investigation is anticipated by this investigator. Now, here we go. This is what he's getting at with those photos right here. And, that's accidentally shit. All right. Now that we see, stop. Sorry, I keep getting notifications. We see right here, it points out 04, and it tells you, it literally has a key here that tells you what 04, because remember when I mentioned earlier and I accidentally read it, that pulled that stupid Biden move, and I read the redaction number? Well, this redaction number, I guess, is a key that coordinates to a key that tells you what it means. Now, 3, we've seen 3 and 4 throughout this one. Now, 3, that means personnel, medical/similar files, invasion of personal privacy. So that would fall under that. So meaning that this is why. Now, 4 is when it gets interesting. Identity of confidential informant/witness. So keep in mind, we said we had a New York, we had found blood on the scene from a New York individual that was popped up in their whatever thing. For some reason, we never heard any tell of this later. That's a wild thing to just pop up. That there was blood found that was identified in the criminal database in New York, and just whatever, no big whoop. Just move on past it. Maybe, who knows? Maybe out there's an explanation. Maybe one of these people had picked up a charge in New York, but I don't know. I have a feeling. But then we notice how we mentioned this guy that was in the woods that's from New York that, we don't really know who he is. So interesting for sure. All right, on to the final one. I think this might be another one that we kind of have to interpret a little bit on our own, maybe. We'll see. We got 4 pictures to go through here. Now, here's a little excerpt. Timmy shared for us. Says, there is an uneven cobblestone staircase near a bridge at the corner of Washington Avenue and Churchill Road, below the small collection of shops and dinettes that passes for a downtown in Sandy Hook. The staircase leads to a tiny clearing near a stand of leafless maple trees. A wooden bench is there so visitors can listen to the gentle susurrations of the Pootutuck River and watch fishermen cast their lines. A small wooden sign jammed into the ground saying this oasis is called the Glen, is a New England idyll. In the day after the shooting, if you were sitting on that bench, you could see a cryptic message painted onto the support wall below the bridge. It read, "We have everything, and we have nothing small and unstable. We self-destruct. We are sleeping sheep, and there are wolves among us." Yeah, fucking ominous, right? Now, here is that thing, that little, where did they say? Oh, fuck, I fucked up. Where did it say it was at again? I think it was at a bench near a staircase. There's a wooden bench, and then if you're sitting on the bench, you can see paint on the support wall below the bridge. So you look up. Damn it, I keep accidentally clicking out. So you look up from this bench near the school, and that's what's written there. So creepy. Obviously, I don't know what we can make of that. And then we go to here. Here is a document they share. There's an FBI. So there's the members and associates of white supremacist group charged with making grenades, selling guns, and this is in the District of Connecticut. This is in New Haven. So he's obviously setting down some implications there, and then landed it with a nice little meme reaction from American Psycho. But yeah, man, that's it, guys. He kind of laid out. I mean, obviously, he's still a lot to kind of figure out. Obviously, that's a little bit wild. I would recommend go and check out our series. Maybe go check out this thread on your own. Go follow Tim at Jolly on Klebold. Maybe you'll be able to get a better grip of this. But it's wild stuff. All right, let's pop. Man, I ended up standing here way longer than I meant to. I meant to do like another hour and a half show or something because I started late and I had stuff to do. But oh well. Let's scroll through the chat real quick and let's get the hell out of here, guys. We're basically done. We're done. We're donezo. I've seen you guys talking shit again. Man, you guys really like beating the hell out of Alien Cat, huh? You guys should be nice. You guys should start being nice. Start being mean. Stop being mean to each other. Someone says the little autistic AI-generated kid they depicted as a shooter not only would have been too weak, but his tism would have allowed gunfire without that kid covering his ears and rocking to and fro. Yeah. He also was, I believe, shortly before this, complaining about a weird like tone he was hearing regularly, like he was losing his fucking mind. Which I guess other school shooters, I think of, or other shooters, lone wolf shooters, have complained about similar such things. So yeah. Somebody says old people call semi-automatic pistols automatics for some reason. I don't know how many FUDs call 1911 45 automatics. Okay, that makes sense too, because I'm like, I think that statement too was from like a cop or something too. So I'm like, what the fuck, dude? What kind of cop would do that? Like, wild shit. So. All right, scrolling through, seeing what you guys saying. All right, are we all caught up? Isn't it weird that he was only found with handguns, but they said rifle? Yeah, it is definitely weird for sure. A lot of weirdness with the guns. I mean, there were multiple guns, but yeah, we're supposed to only like 3, it looks like, maybe more. But we're supposed to believe that, no, this was all just the one guy. Someone says, if off-duty cop, did that person call for any help as directed to do? I'm unsure. That's one I don't know. Says tactical officer, also New York cop. Says Bobo. So yeah, that was an off-duty cop from New York. Yes, I think so. I think that was the guy from New York. Unless there was like a second person in the woods and they're both from New York, or one's a cop and one's the guy from New York. I'm a little bit lost in that. Once again, this is not my area, so I'm like kind of leaning a little bit on Timmy here. So. All right, let me scroll through this. Scrolling through it all you say. All right. Okay, cool. All right, let's yeah. Sorry. Just scrolling through, seeing what you guys say. All right, I'm way back there now. I think I've caught up with everything you guys had to say. Yeah, they said that says shotgun with 70 shells was in the glove box. Yeah. So voice to skull technology was most definitely used. Says Rise to Liberty. Yes, that's what I'm getting at with the tones. 100%. Dave Rubin's one of the good guy child purchasers. Someone says alien's being a prick if he's being picked on. I was being a little bit silly. I don't know who started it. All I see is you guys arguing, and I know everyone him being the ire of it. So I don't know who started. I just see it. It's like when your kids are arguing, and you're like, you hear the one that's being loud and being obnoxious, and you're like, hey, you cut it out. You be nice. And they're like, well, so and so started. And you're like, well, you're the one I hear. So you guys are the one I hear. So cut it out. All right, enough of that. Everybody love everybody. All right. All right, we're going to get out of here. But fun time, good time hanging out with y'all. I love seeing all of y'all showing up here. We should have another one tomorrow. I think it should be me. I don't know if Austin will be joining me tomorrow. We'll see. But I'll be running the show tomorrow. So if Austin does join, I believe he'll be the second seat. So he'll be kind of co-hosting tomorrow. So just letting you guys know, we do have Tower Gang tonight. For those of us who do appreciate the little bit of a offensive comedy. That's the place for it. We'll be there. Me, Clint, Top Lops, Cole, and Toad. We'll have a fun time. We'll hang out. But yeah, big things coming next week, guys. Next week, man. It's so weird. I just keep every day. I'm like, man, it's wild. A week from now, me and Austin will be together, hanging out, having a little slumber party, driving to Vegas, hanging out with Jake Shields. Yeah, fucking fun stuff. But all right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. If you guys want to support the show, you can do that over at Patreon. Or actually, never mind, I fucked up the plugs. If you want to support the show and you don't want to chip in a buck, like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Why did I struggle with that so hard, man? Gone too long getting out of it. But yeah, fucking go do that. That's the best ways you can help out without chipping in. Share it around, let people know about it. These little steps go a long ways, and you'd be surprised how little people actually do that. Most people just watch and they're just too lazy. It costs nothing. It's free. Takes very little time, and it helps out your content creators. So do that for all your content creators out there. For real. But if you do want to support the show, and the best way you can do that is with money. I mean, let's be real, cash is king, baby. So patreon.com, just No Way Jose 2020. I mean, obviously, if you guys are in a spot where you can't, take care of you and your own, and then if you have anything left over and you do find value out of the show, then maybe consider contributing. And if you want to do that, I mean, it's as low as $2, and $2 gives you access to the early episodes. That gives you, which I've got, I believe now, actually finally got to where I have 4 behind the paywall. So now I'm shooting for actually keeping 1 to 2 behind the paywall, or 1 to 2 per week. And then from there, I'll, assuming I'm able to keep up the 2 week, I'll start releasing 2 public as well. So we're about to start releasing more of those. Also, with that, you'll get more behind the paywall and longer behind the paywall. So everybody wins. And then also you can get the video chat function on me and Austin's weekly call-in show, Already Dead. But my highest levels, my sponsors, I read them off every episode as a big thank you. I'm my co-host on Tire Gang at Tire Gang Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRECK, at _ Seal, Tim Tuttle, at John Klebold, the Will Bells, Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, the big fan of the show, Torn May, then at INWARD Lover. And I always forget, I mean to put this earlier in my plugs, it makes more sense, but I always forget this. But make sure to follow me and Austin as well. I'm at Tire Gang Jose, he's at Theater Thug AWP. The reason I always remind you guys this is because I get a lot of this content from you guys. You guys are my eyes and ears out there. I'd say probably damn near like 50% or more is you guys' content, usually stuff that you tagged us in. So you follow us, tag us in content that would be something we'd want to cover on the show. And hey, that's how you keep us apprised of what's going on in the world. Because me and Austin are busy guys doing other stuff. I mean, yeah, we are kind of terminally online, but we aren't able to be terminally online enough to really keep abreast of all the different issues. So that's why we count on you guys. So we're counting on you guys there. But yeah, I appreciate everyone who showed up today. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get on out of here. Love you all. Deuces.